where, you know, from the macro perspective, things looked so good for Talon. They could have actually
हेलो गाइस, हिंदी के अंदर अपन वॉच पार्टी करने वाले हैं। मेरी एक स्ट्रीम बंद हो चुकी थी तो उसके लिए रियली सॉरी।
Now, something we also need to note is Frost and
4v11 चल रहा है।
right, the current head coach of Global Esports, they did face off at Champions.
Global Esports जीत जाए ना भाई अपने इंडिया की टीम है।
Where Talent looked like they had a very good chance of taking it, but Leviathan, they wake up, they're still able to hold on to that win 2-0, and then of course Leviathan makes a pretty deep run all the way into the bracket. So I know that's something that the coaching staff of Talon Esports wasn't quite happy about. They thought they might have had a golden chance to try to break it into the playoffs of champions. Wasn't quite able to get there, but then they shake it off. They say, okay, we're rebuilding, you know, around Primi anyway, right? We're trying to work around Primi as that new addition. Now we go through the offseason. They looked like they were experimenting a lot, trying to really hash out some of the issues they were having. Right now, we're not seeing a good result out of it.
Yeah. I mean, it's one hell of a run, but when you think about it, you know, the coach is coming involved as well. But once again, it really is just Primi not quite having the opportunity so far. Hopefully on the defensive side a little bit more, and we start things off with just quite a bit towards mid again. Governor coming back in the peak.
Yeah, very
risky.
Yeah, risky position, but still gets a lot of info, right? No double peeks there. Catches sight of one member over by Ramen. And Governor's just going to be able to try to hold on his own, just trying to delay with the boombot as well. So it allows Talent to still go for a fairly default position. Now you have that trap play ready in mid. You're going to see that fault line potentially come in. Because they've given a timing for GE to try to reclaim control. You know that there's going to be a push and pull. When do they peek out, though? So many smokes coming out. Still no contact.
Just holding. Stealth drone from Primi. Doesn't spot anything out either. Darren managed to stay and avoid it.
I'll handle this. Oh, the ult just to check. That's 3 members. But they're not quite in range right now for a kill off of the fault line. Good patience coming up from Cruz, but how long do you wait? Trying to push them into heaven, right? You're saying, okay, the Yoru's behind you, where do you go? But now over in heaven, Governor's able to get that one kill as well. Gate crash, it's gonna be expired. And there's the fault line just to delay. Now you know with only 20 seconds left that GE had to make a choice. They're caught up, there's the gravity well as well. They're gonna try to fill the site.
Yeah, I heard the time of it. Now you gotta worry about the back as well. GE, pressure's definitely on them. Trying to flood into the site, but
जी जीतेगी भाई लोग आज। Global Esports जीतेगी आज। Let's go.
That's Cruz in with second kill. Primi onto the other as well. And Talon
What the fuck भाई ये क्या हुआ?
So Talon this time, the patience of holding on to things like the fault line really scares GE into, okay, where do we push forward to get some more information? We didn't really get clarity in mid. We didn't see any reactions. They were trying to bait out some sort of movement. Then you see the Yoru come out, but you're not quite able to chase it all the way through because you've left B main garage empty the entire time. So you don't know, did we see Jit Boys push out? Is he gonna go for a trade? We're not quite sure, so let's stick with mid. But then you lose your raise as well. So now you're just caught in mid, and then it's a timing play from Talon, and they're starting to find some footing.
Just a little bit. Now with the guns as well, hopefully able to keep a bit of a streak going. GE a little bit passive though. The alt orb goes in for the swing, but look at that outlaw towards the back.
Oh, lots of members spotted by Governor as well. I love the close range paint shells in case they decided to pile on, and Utah still gets a long range fight. He is onto the site.
Quick reactions, Jitboy is able to kind of come back and refill that space with the Judge. And now towards the back now, Cruz unfortunately gunned down.
Wow, I think that's the first time I've really seen the Gravnet right into the repeak. Being able to land that shot so easily 1v1 works out for Kelly, yes. Usually we see it obviously
Guys,
some
stream
more
lag हो रही है
plays,
क्या?
trap
मेरे को
plays.
बताओ सब लोग.
We'll be able to recover the spike as well. Obviously weaponry not on their side. However, Annihilation available. If GE wanted to try to make a play for map point, which I would not mind, you're 6 rounds ahead. I would like to see a little bit of risk taking, because if you use the Annihilation, limit them down to a 2v2, now suddenly it looks doable.
Still though, not too much information on where their opponents might be. Right now, having to check and clear a lot of the corners, so a bit of a double peek in towards Mail, but it's the setup high-low from Talon to kind of counter them. Jitboy's able to shoot them down.
Starting to catch up. GE has to remember that they're not quite at 12 just yet. However, once again, lots of ults online. Is it going to be an ult dump on this round? It looks like it. They're set up all 5 onto the A site. You're seeing the pings and where they want to clear. Perhaps over for that deep paint shells to try to clear things off, or they just want to check that cubby. We'll see what the play is.
Throwing next. 30 seconds left.
The real question is going to be Talon's response. You're looking at the scoreboard, you see all these ultimates online, they're gonna leave A relatively empty. So it's going to be a retake, you have that Rolling Thunder, and you have the Cosmic Divide as well. I like the fast push out of mid, you really just want to force them into one of the sites.
Yeah, G makes a thing for it. So straight into the A site, and instantly Ban kind of leaves it open. So a bit of a retake setup. The off shot does take one of the players down as well, so that's instant value too.
You have to hold on to screens because you don't have that barrier mesh anymore.
Trying to keep that there. Rolling Thunder though will connect into the site, but JITBOYS kind of avoids it. I mean, Poppy avoids it for now, so maybe a little bit of an opportunity. Udotan able to spam and spray through as they all try to push out off the Rolling Thunder. Now it's all down to just Ban. And he's got the op, tries to peek out, but Udotan takes him down once again. It is GE up to Matt point.
Poppy with the perfect timing on the Cosmic Divide. Completely ruins the Rolling Thunder. Talon wanted to try to wrap into the site ASAP. You look at the angle, it wasn't just for ramps. It was actually saying, we don't care if there's someone on the lurk, we're gonna push into the site. But then they all get stopped. They're not quite sure how to peek out of this. And the way the Cosmic Divide, look at this, you peek out of it, you still have to take the 50-50 afterwards. There's a little bit of that distance right next to the wall. It makes it such a nightmare to peek out, and now GE at 12.
So unfortunate with that Rolling Thunder not connecting, so now
what Poppy's been doing the entire map. He just waits. The rest of his team gets information, and then he sees what is the reaction. Is it a push out or is it not? Primi catches sight. I think Crystal did too, given his jiggle. Little bounce back and forth, but now Primi calls for backup. They want to push this out. They have to, because given their composition, they need to fight to take space and get information.
Trying to go in for it. I mean, all three of them trying to go in for maybe the trade setup as well, right? Peeking off of each other, but the Boombot now comes out, just defend even more of them back. Peeking out of the cage, unfortunately, the timing of it all, it's just a setup for GE to react back into the utility that they sent through. Primi tries to stay alive into the corner, a bit of a one and done. He's able to get away with two, but it's still not enough.
JITBOYS still owning a sheriff as well. See if he can get in range to pick anything up, but Poppy looks
भाई
like he's ready
जीतेंगे
to
भाई
shut
जीत
that
गए
down.
लेट्स गो
Now look at the positions. I mean, GE all ready to just pick off these 1v1s. Over by Poppy. He's not looking. JITBOYS, does he find a timing? He does!
oh no
Now a 2v1. 1v1 down to Crystal versus JITBOYS.
जीत सकते हैं भाई लोग
Wrapped around the spike. Inside of elbow. He peeks
Ah,
out.
let's
That's gonna be the
go.
headshot just in an
Let's
instant.
go, bro.
13-6. Global Esports
जीत गए
ends
भाई
the first
ग्लोबल
match.
esports let's go
Really well played from GE. And
Well
I think
played,
we
guys.
saw a little bit of the
Let's
undercooked
go.
moments from Talon even in that last round. They're trying to peek out of that ramps control. They still had so much util. You have to just invest with the explosions to take over areas and then hold on to it, but they hesitated. They sent Governor out alone with just the drone. It doesn't quite check the right corner, and Crystal's able to gun down the Rays and then take space onto the site. And so we're going to have to see a little bit of retooling from Talon, but for now, both teams will have to focus on to the next map, which is going to be Abyss, where Global Esports did look shaky last week.
Yeah, it was that 13-3 loss against Team Secret, so maybe a slight chance for Talon to really strike back, but then again, who knows if Global Esports has to really cook something back up.
I'm not sure if they're Udotan's family or they're just father and son, but here to cheer on Udotan. Could be family. We'll have to double check with the production, but either way, Udotan gaining a lot of fans both in Korea and globally, and I would just say Global Esports gaining a lot of momentum in the fandom. Meanwhile, we talked about, the devs talked about how important it was for Talon to try to get ahead, to try to move forward, to try to get to Masters Bangkok onto that home field, and right now they're already on their back foot.
Yeah, definitely doesn't feel too great. It is double elimination, but you still want to get as much as you can possibly get. Still though, on towards split right now. It just is Global Esports being able to stop and slow a lot of them down, especially in that first half.
Yeah, Split's starting to look scarier and scarier for GE. Now 2 wins already here in kickoff, and it just looks like they have really good protocols, really good timing reads, really good movement across the map, right? Information from A, and then Poppy makes a move B. Poppy gets information, you make a move A. There's just a lot of cross-map macro coming out from the team, and I gotta imagine a big part of that is not just the prep, but Kelly S is IGLing as well. So want to give a shout out to this entire roster, but that's gonna be GE leading 1-0 against the 4th place team of Pacific last year. A team that made it to champions. We'll see if Global Esports can continue, but before we move on, we'll have the analyst desk break down the action from Split.
That's right. Global Esports does cinch the win of their map pick of Split. And, you know, this is in a best of 3, but you know what? Compared to yesterday, which they already looked fairly good, I think they cleaned up even more. So any of that first day jitters last week is, I would say, mostly shaken off now, and they looked excellent. They had full control of this map.
Yeah, dominant. That's how I describe that map very much. You know, the Talon's performance reminds me of G's performance in map 1 last week.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
It didn't seem at all composed or all there. Like, I really see what Talon were trying to do. To me, it feels like this composition was cooked up to deliberately counter what GE had here, but we did not see it deliver at all. I didn't see a single tail break of the Sentinel utility.
No, I didn't see the paint shells breaking any of the Senti util. I thought they were going to play quite a bursty style. They played very slow, defaulty, 1-3-1s. Look, well, to be fair, they did try to throw some executes in there, but not only the positioning and the anchor work from players like Puppy, as well as some of the reactive utility, really nicely placed grav nets, deadlock walls, things like that. Even the grav well coming in from the Astra. You had great prowlers as well on the slower rounds from Crystal, and Yudotan is a bona fide star player. Like, if I'm Patrick, who's sitting at home, I'm sweating for my position in the duelist role. This is a guy who, he was playing Senti in the off-season for Global Esports, but duelist is his most played role across his career, and he's already shown that he can take over games, and now he's doing it on the Tier 1 level in multiple different games. It's just fantastic to watch this man step up into Tier 1.
Fun fact about Yudotan, he actually used to be on Talon way back before franchise was around. Yudotan was originally on Talon Esports playing in the Challengers Philippines. But you know what, here, I think what sucks for you guys is that neither of you put him on your team, and he would have been a great addition to it. Now here, Poppy, his control of B was excellent. They just Talon could not get in at all. And they just, the pacing of this wasn't right, and when you have an agent like Teo on your comp there, you should be pushing it a lot faster.
Yeah, I definitely feel like with this double duelist, I wanted to see them go heavy burst, especially more towards the sides. I felt like they were working mid a lot, and it just looked like they got picked off in their default so consistently, which is the one thing you can't do against this the comp of GE, because it allows them to kind of stabilize into that mid round, and then when you lose your burst power, it's nigh impossible.
I mean, even in this last round, Yoru gets isolated despite investing the ult. Look at all of this reactive utility, the Nightfall coming out, you had the grav well as well as the deadlock wall going down, slowing down Talon before they can scale into the site and burst and actually get themselves into a comfortable post plant. And that's where, as the GE comp, you're going to struggle a little bit more. It's all about using that Senti util to be able to hold things down, to be able to stop them getting out of the chokes, and it never felt like Talon could get into a comfortable position into the game state that they actually want. And I have to say, look, the defense from Talon was a lot more convincing. They had a lot better ideas. Look at this A main control. They had a lot of set plays that they were using. You had Ban on the other side of the map that did get onto this deep op line. Yes, he did get picked by Puppy. Look, we don't need to show this part. This is kind of not really the point, but at the end of the day, Talon had some great ideas on defense. They just dug themselves way too deep of a hole, but you can't really blame anyone but yourselves when you choose to play attack first on Split and you comp change into what you've already seen from Global, and the read doesn't work at all.
Yeah, and unfortunately for Talon, they just love to cook on Split, and the comp looked right. Honestly, the comp looked right.
You're loving it.
I thought it was good. From the agent select, I thought they had answers to what GE had, but this map seemed like a lot of execution mistakes to me, which is a real big issue. This is what I spoke about, where if you start down that bracket, you can come in slow. So now it's on them to recover.
Oh, absolutely. And they're going to have their chance on Abyss here. As Chobra pointed out, Global didn't have the best showing last week on Abyss. It was the first map, and some of us might say it's first day jitters, first map jitters. But then, you know, there are a little bit of holes in their game plan strategically. So it's really hard to say. This data, of course, is from the off-season, I believe. So obviously, this is why we're not seeing Global stuff up here. But what are you making of this second map now? Do you think Talon's going to be stepping back up, or is Global going to continue on this momentum here?
I hope so. I'm expecting a better map 2 here. I think GE didn't show what their Abyss could have been. So I think they'll have gone away and refined some things. So I expect them to come in a little bit sharper, and I expect Talon to hard reset after this game. It's a dominate. You won both pistols, but you got dominated. So it's that same idea of you just want to throw that out of your brain and go, let's come into map 2. Let's play our actual game here now, team.
sorry, the issue for me with Talon's Abyss though is like they have looked shaky. You know, they barely beat Secret. They had some rough games against some of the Korean teams in the off season as well. So similarly to what you saw, I think was it DRX picking Pearl or one of the teams picking Pearl in the opening games where they didn't have great results in the off season. You know, you do have to take those with a grain of salt at the end of the day. But them picking a map that they didn't perform well in the off season actually ended up backfiring and they lost it. And you had both teams trading their map picks. So look, Talon's going to have a lot better of a read, a lot better of an approach. I feel like both of these teams are quite inconsistent in general, though. So I really wouldn't be surprised to see the maps go one apiece, and then we head on to the third map, to be honest, especially given GE's showing, because, like, you know, Secret made them look like they were completely lost, like they were just getting executed, they couldn't hold the execute. They're playing a very active comp where they actually need to interact with the game, go and take some map control, go and take some ownership on the defense, and it felt like they just were always behind the 8-ball. They weren't taking map control too much, they weren't making pushes, and I think they're going to have at least gone back and reviewed that and maybe worked on it a little bit since then, though.
Yeah, I think it's going to be really interesting. Kelly S. had pointed out with the addition of Darion, it does enable them to switch their gameplay style. So without Patrick Hu here, I think now they're doing a little bit of push and pull. They're saying they normally would play this really aggressively, but now I'm pretty sure they went back and worked on Abyss. There's no way you're going to let Abyss come through a second time, especially for map 2, knowing that they looked really weak on it. They surely went back, did their homework, cleaned it up. Talon, on the other hand, you're right. They look so inconsistent on this map off the off season. When Primi made his debut here, they looked fantastic. They beat Team Secret on this map. Primi was in, I don't even think he was playing a duelist, but they've obviously swapped things up. Primi's back on like a hard jet on Abyss. I don't, it's hard to say, are they gonna figure out what works for Abyss? Are we gonna get that same Abyss during Primi's debut?
I mean, I really hope so. I would like this to go all the way to map 3, to be honest, but I think it's really hard to predict because Frost and the coaching staff there at Talon are not afraid to mix things up. You know, we've just seen it in map 1. They are not afraid to take risks. So again, I would be expecting something different from them.
They've changed their comp every time in the offseason. I think 3 Abyss games they've played, they've adjusted their comp every time. So there's, especially looking at a lot of the other teams, like Gen G, for example, they're playing the same comp almost every game, whereas Talon, they're changing their comp almost every game. And like that's the thing. That's why I feel like this team is so inconsistent. If you just don't have the same stable comps, the same stable roles, it's just naturally going to be a little bit all over the place. When it clicks, it's amazing, but then you have that split attack side and you're like, oh, I don't know about that.
You're absolutely right. I think based on what we've seen from Frost in his interviews, his podcast, he's always trying to stay one step ahead, keep them guessing a little bit, have special comps to face specific teams. But you're right, it's really hard to master it at that point. Gen G was so good last year, and they never changed a thing. They kept it the same. They fine-tune, they make it better, and better. So
it's a Korean approach, you know, just keep consistently ironing it out. They've always relied on the tactics and what's stable, what's consistent. Look, I mean, we already said it was a great idea, but if your players can't execute it in the server, then that idea means nothing.
Well, you know what does mean something, though?
Okay.
I wanted to talk about the poll results, but we got our agent picks here.
So again, this is another change from Talon. This is their 4th game in a row, I think, of changing up their comp. We're going the double controller with the Viper mixed in, and Primi is on the Deadlock this time. For GE, they're also changing. Darion's going onto a chamber. You already saw him opping on Pearl, so they're really backing the Darion op here.
I think it's a very natural fit for Darion. You know, he's played a lot of Jet, he's done a lot of opping, and I do think Chamber can provide a lot of valuable, I don't want to say utility, but a lot of valuable impact.
You're seeing other agent changes as well. Crystal is onto the server. You got the breach for Kelly S, so they're really swapping a couple of different things around for this Abyss game.
Yeah, I am liking this. I love when teams go back and rework all their weaknesses, and it looks like they've both cooked something up, and I have no idea who's going to be the better chef. We're going to go over to our casters to take away Map 2 Talon versus Global Esports.
Thank you very much. Yeah, big changes in the compositions on both sides. Now, I know, you know, everyone in chat, Reddit, everyone's already still looking at Talon and saying, Primi's still not on Duelist? Like, what's going on here? But, well, let's wait and see. Let's wait and see, because the current Neons we've seen is much more about baiting out those crosshairs, and then the rest of the team is there to trade. So we'll see if Primi's set up for some of that fragging power.
Okay, so food critic Chobra is kind of liking what Talon is cooking up here.
Well, I didn't say like. I just just said that we gotta wait and see.
Gotta wait and see. Right. We shall kind of give them a chance. We'll give them a chance at how everything goes. But I mean, it's that double controller as well. But right now, that impact from the chamber already coming through.
Yeah, and we're just going to get a safe peek out there from Yudotan. He takes a little bit of scratch from that early scuffle, but Crystal's still here as well. And then there's the support from Kelly S. Once again, keep your eyes on the movement of Kelly S. because he has been very busy on that first map and now already in the first round of Abyss as well. Let's take a little bit of time to talk about that chamber, though. The Des touched upon it, but that chamber can gain you so much aggressive space for that extra information. So I'm curious what kind of positions Darion takes.
Especially with how he holds sight lines as well. I mean, speaking of his past experiences as a Jet, it's just right there. And he's able to hold it down again from the back of heaven. Governor down, Poppy comes back in for the trade. That's Primmy gone, and you're working against numbers. At this point, Yudotan gets yet another ban. What are you gonna do? Tries to slip through with a ghost, but Poppy swings out after the fault line. That's instantly the round handed over to Global Esports.
Not the start you wanted after that first map, but you'll just have to pick it up once you get a chance to get some buys in. Meanwhile, Global Esports, Darion not missing those shots, gets the very first kill with the headshot, and then he's able to finish off the Neon as well. We should note, I mean, it's been a little bit, but you know, Darion, he played a lot of Chamber. They touched upon, he used to be a Jet player, he used to be an Opper, but you look at his overall career, it's still his second most played agent. So, I mean, this is going to be like the back of his hand for Darion on Chamber.
Just one heck of a sniper. Especially on the B side of things, it definitely works out incredibly well, but right now...
War Spy coming out from Talon, all half armor, all stingers, it's just going to be a full push in. Okay, going for the barrier mesh as well. They want to go for a full wraparound onto the A side. I don't mind it, and they will able to punish Yudotan. They punish Kelly S as well, and now Crystal all alone. Just the Sheriff, he gets stunned against the stingers. Gets one, not able to connect onto the second.
That's a flood instantly into the site. I mean, Kelly S heard the footsteps, but with the Guardian couldn't quite fend off, you know, all that incoming footsteps. Down to the last player now, it's just Poppy, and Ban picking up that Guardian, able to make it ring. Poppy down with the headshot. So Talon strikes back off the quick force buy on the second round.
And that is a bit of a one-and-done force buy, but it's a very aggressive one as well. I mean, the speed that they're able to actually not just go through vents, but they wrap around all the way the bend of mid so that anyone in vents doesn't really have an exit, right? You go out their main, you're getting pinched. You come out from vents, you try to fight there, you're getting pinched. You try to go back to spawn, you're getting pinched. And that's only doable because it's the Deadlock and the Neon able to block off any sort of fast rotate from the defenders.
I think it's also a little bit of that Viper wall from Ben as well, though, right? I mean, it's kind of impressive. They keep doing the same thing. I mean, you got to keep an eye on that for the future rounds, but right now, back into B. Darren's already swapped sides over onto the A site.
Poppy just going to get pushed away. Doesn't really take damage there. He's able to get out.
Still space afforded, and now Talon pretty much kind of gets the free sight, right? It's just classics. Kelly S jumps over, actually managed to land yet another shot, but thankfully Talon managed to bring things back to their control. So now it's pretty soon, spike planted. How does GE try to deal with this?
Yeah, I mean, already you've taken too much damage that you shouldn't have, but obviously you look at the creds. Overall, in the grand scheme of things, Talon okay if they're able to wrap things up here and just keep that advantage. Meanwhile, for GE, I mean, barrier mesh, maybe you try to fish for some kills for Darion to try to get his tour de force online ASAP, but outside of that, it looks like it's going to be just going down to the spike is the answer.
Trying to play around it, still, yeah, maybe trying to get that tour de force online. He had the sight lines, but couldn't quite react in kind as soon as a little utility was placed. So quick reactions from Talon again, and now just high-low setup. Crystal unfortunately walks into it.
Yeah, just trying to make it sound like he picks up the gun and leaves, and then decides, okay, well, if I have a Phantom, if I can get 2 kills, maybe some extra points over towards my ultimate. Not going to happen, though. Everyone's still a little ways away on the side of GE towards those ults, and Kelly S wreaking havoc on the site. But right now, Talon, they look a lot more locked in than they did over on Split.
Definitely working a lot better, especially with how they're taking things in their hands right now, being proactive. So keeping an eye again on that Viper wall. It's still blocking off quite a bit of mid, and you can see that it definitely forces G to invest some players into at least playing around mid a bit more.
Deep recon for a very aggressive position. These are the things you can afford to do with that chamber. We saw some of that chamber coming out from the Americas as well, where you're able to take so many different off angles with that rendezvous.
Pulling it. A little bit of an off angle, though, from this side.
Spotted!
Spots the Neon, but couldn't quite deal with the slide, so at least he gets away in time.
Yeah, Yeah, that was kind of dicey. I'm surprised he even stayed for that first shot, just knowing that it's a Neon and you were just barely spotted by the drone, but perhaps hoping that they didn't quite recognize it.
That's one of the things that Darren has a lot of experience with as well, like dealing with Neons. He did that in VCL just last year.
See if he's able to maybe land some of those crazy shots. Now, we mentioned that toxic screen earlier. Obviously, just as any double controller, it's putting in a lot of that pressure, cutting off some of that rotate, and then Ban putting pressure onto Vents right now as well, trying to go for a deep wraparound. Annihilation is going to be able to catch Yudotan. That should soften the defenses.
Poppy?
He's hiding away. They're not quite sure. Has he dropped or has he not? They can't quite make up their mind. He drops. He's not going to get that kill.
Premi holding the angle, able to react in kind. Still though, you're taking a look at how Ban is effectively lurking up from the back. GE, they try to push on through. They're still up in towards heaven, trying to make use of some of these sight lines. Crystal, he actually hears Ben. I mean, kind of thinking about it, kind of able to swing back to take him down. And there, the final shot for Darren to slam down. GE, able to equalize scoreboard.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think there was any sound there. I think that's just really, really big heads-up play in the fact that they have yet to see the Viper. Whoever made that call and said, watch your backs, we haven't seen Viper, that is the comm of the round right there. That's the call you need, because if it wasn't for that, Ban was able to get a free double kill. But he's just watching out for it because you already have that op. You already have Darren watching the site. You trust in him to get that information. What a good hold from GE.
Just being that spotter for Darren. I mean, Crystal, you gotta love the cohesion on the side of G. And right now, back into it, it's Darren taking that aggressive space once more.
Pushing out this time, and Premi waits for it. Good punish. Knows the mind of someone who wants to op. Does he suspect the second? He's waiting for it.
Crystal anticipating a possible push out as well. I mean, he's going to have to back off now.
And Yudotan with a good hold, though. I mean, anytime you're playing against these double controllers, it's either you try to push out yourselves or you kind of just have to wait. You have to leave that mid open and try to push out of a side so that you can go for faster rotates and get that information better. And GE, this is something they've cleaned up a lot compared to last week.
Able to work with it this time, especially with Poppy into the stars on the site, so he's able to kind of relay through, but unfortunately, Talon this time managed to come in with the flood. 2-3 players all through the smokes, and Poppy wasn't able to hold it back, so a bit of a retake scenario now without the numbers. GE gonna have to try to at least maybe get some picks. They do have the op, so it might be a save as well.
Yeah, something to consider because your econ is all over the place right now. The credits not quite evened out for GE. So if you believe that the operator is really, really important for those defensive rounds, which I would imagine you do, given the chamber, I think you got to keep that. So it looks like Crystal's just in position to save. And Kelly S just trying to see if he can get a couple cheeky kills. But look at the wraparound from Governor. He wants to punish the op. Finds one. Oh, okay. We'll finish off the kill. Knows he doesn't quite have the opening anymore to chase for the second.
A little bit dicey. That is a gun picked up nonetheless. Oh, he's just wrapping around.
Didn't spot him just yet. He was around the corner. And given the health, it looks like Governor also just saying, all right, I'll cool off. All right, I didn't spot you enough. Just wait and not really take that risk.
Just be able to keep things in control. Definitely a bit of an improvement for Talent, but nonetheless, I mean, being this aggressive and being this active and being able to take those guns away, being able to take the site and flood it through the smokes that way, clearly shows their mentality and wanting to take yet another strong lead onto their first half.
And I really liked, I think that round from Talon just now, round 5, is going to be very representative of just how every round should be playing out for them. Get some information. If you push out, they punish GE, and then they divide them in mid, and then it's a flood with the Neon. So now the answer is, let's take them out in mid!
Going for the fight, down to the tour de force, the first shot down into Governor, and all of a sudden, Talon has to back off.
A-Main already given up, trying to hide away from that drone. Looks like Yudotan might have been hidden. Ooh. Cosmic Divide. You do have your own to try to counter it on a retake. Oh man, another repeat with the op this time. A little bait and switch. Big risk, but Crystal still holding strong on Vent, so they feel comfy on the site. And Talon, they are frantically realizing there's too many members here on the site.
So, bit of a mid-round decision, or at least thinking about it, but they're doubling back.
Trying to use that little pocket that might have been available on the Cosmic Divide to fake them out, but I don't think, I don't know if G even heard them, because I don't think we saw Kellius pass that wall.
I mean, but,
yeah, now they're second-guessing themselves, so surely I don't think they heard it at all.
Oh, no. But still, I mean, just close enough to the side and having the numbers to possibly make something happen. Surely now they hear that Spike tap.
Yeah, but the wraparound. Coming in from Crystal, that's going to be big. And Jit Boys, he might just let Kelly slip through and take out one of his teammates.
So in the position, a little bit far too deep, while the rest of his team just kind of holds out around the spike. Cruz farther back, so that marks Crystal. He gets off. It's just to throw out the recon. Crystal kind of slipping through. Sova versus Sova. It's just down to the gunplay and the angles. Crystal, unfortunately, shoulder spotted out. And that's then the Cosmic Defy, but do they know that Heaven's being held?
They should know. Because you saw that reaction coming out from the spike tap, and you saw the Sonic Sensor as well, just not enough time, and GE will have to back off. That should be another round for Talon. They're on the hunt. They got to get out of the spike radius anyway, and Kellyus will survive just barely with that Vandal. So once again, I mean, sure, you get shut down in mid, but it's the same idea, right? You're still able to push the chamber out. You threaten him to force a rendezvous out. Then you still require GE to try to reinvest a lot of util in mid. That's when you take the chance to flood into A. Obviously, it doesn't work out, the fake, and then doubling back onto A site. Good call from Cruz.
Just being able to hold it from Heaven as well. Additional angles to work with. Ultimate's being cycled online now as well. But okay.
Timeout, presumably from the side of GE. Trying to fix things up. Now last week, it's something that we pointed out. They really lacked the proactivity to try to go out on A main, get that information. This time, they're doing it, but Primi and then some other members are always waiting by, just punishing them, saying, no, 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 you don't get free information, and you will just accept the fact that your rotates will be late. So what is the adjustment now? Do you invest even more util to try to go out? I mean, you could, but if you do at that point, you actually just have to commit to a fast flank. And what if Talon just responds? And then what if they just put a barrier mesh and say, nope, you're still trapped in A main, no information, we're just gonna hold you there and trade util for util. So I think you have to start to think 2 steps ahead. I like the idea of the chamber in mid, trying to get that first pick. That's fine. Maybe you repeat that, but the reaction afterwards, rather than just re-clearing mid, maybe a sudden push out somewhere else to constantly keep Talon guessing.
That's kind of some of their options available to them right now. I mean, being able to fight for that neutral ground, but at the same time, it's just wondering about how Talon's able to work around it, or if they're holding on the other sides, and especially, again, working with that double controller setup that they have. Mid is always kind of in contention. Yudotan being stuck inside of B-Link.
Okay, just a little bit of a fake bait there for the ult orb, and eventually they'll be able to secure that for themselves. And they make it sound like they left. So it's an absolute trap play, and Darian can't quite land that shot. What a jump peek out from Premi with the Outlaw.
It's a shutdown, but now this is the reaction from GE to try to come back in, thinking about a possible A site being leaked open. It is a bit of an eco round for GE, but still tough luck. I mean, starting things off that way.
Yeah, I don't mind the piling onto B, right? If you get a kill onto Kellyus, maybe even the Rolling Thunder if the time allows for it to try to just win the round out of attrition. But it's going to be a hard fake. Talon not taking any chances. If they get a reaction out of here, they'll immediately go into A site. Still creeping forward, but they start to see some of that util come out on B. So the main force will be going into A.
Yeah,
The Hunter's Fury baited out onto that plant, and now it's just going to be planted on A site. Governor, he's done his job.
So unfortunate with the ults being drawn out. Rotations back into the A side. Okay, Viper's pit up as well, just for added measure, but now in towards Vents, and Jit Boys holding it. A bit of an angle, spots them out. It's a double kill.
And now there's not much you can do. Poppy not going to be able to find that kill instantly. Yudotan did pick up the Phantom, but the retake itself looks kind of impossible. Okay, Jit Boys, he might actually get a couple extra kills himself. He's aware of it. No, Yudotan's going to get him from behind.
One enemy remaining.
Now Poppy obviously wanting to go down to the spike. Looks like he's not going to be given the option to do so. Just trying to bounce back and forth. He has a rifle himself, so he could just save that over. And that's going to be the choice from GE. 5-2 lead for Talon. What a choice there. I mean, you talk about fakes like these, especially when you're ahead of the econ, is it really necessary? But just given the fact that, okay, we don't know where else they've pushed out from, we don't know what the rotations looked like, but they should be going for a stack, I don't mind it, especially because it's the Neon, right? You can try to get out usually a little bit slippery. You're able to buy a lot of time. And Governor, I mean, he baits out the Hunter's Fury. That's more than you could have asked for.
So much value. At the same time, I made a bit of an An eco round for GE, so getting a read for things now, but this is the adjustment. It's going to be Yudotan pushing down mid to take down Ban.
And during that, they still have that forward position on A main as well. So yeah, now doubling down on where you push out from. So that way you can get the one and done kill in mid and back off. You don't have to be afraid about holding onto that position. It's still a double stack. So this requires Talon to now use util. But the question is if you have to use the rendezvous, which you will, where else do you push out from again? Does Yudotan push out from mid once more? Because there's still a full minute left on the clock. Just holding for now. GE pushed back into a somewhat backwards, a default position.
Banking a lot on the stack, and at the same time trust in Poppy to just hold down B. He's continuing to jiggle, so doesn't see anything. It's all down to the stack and how they're able to react to what could possibly come out of the A site.
Yeah, we have to remember the slide is gone from Neon, so not going to be able to really displace that crosshair as much. But Darion, he gets tagged.
Fast lane up as well. So trying to slip on through with that. The relay vault now out. Kelly's not quite able to react with it. Second rendezvous now used, but unfortunately, just animation not quite up in time. Darren gets gunned off, and that's going to be now up to Crystal. Out from heaven, trying to work alongside it. Kind of avoiding the annihilation, which didn't quite connect into him, so not too bad for now, but towards the back of spawn as well. It's been blocked off. Yudotan, though, still able to land a bit of a shot.
Yeah, and sees Chip Boys as well. Chip Boys are taking so much damage. He's now going to have to hide away. You know he's trapped. And it's a two-man push out from spawn. They got to take out Chip Boys first. That's an easy kill. And the second one, good crosshair displacement for Poppy, and then a re-peek from all three members. GE with a nice retake against Talon Esports here in round 8.
Losing players initially thanks to the Neon, but then at the same time just being able to hold their ground. Crystal up from heaven, the first shot through, and then buying time, waiting for his teammates to come on through. The crosshair displacement at the end there, just perfect retake protocols.
Yeah, honestly, the site hit itself was very good. I almost thought Kelly S maybe pushed out too far forward. He had the Rolling Thunder. You could have used that to buy time as well, maybe give time for Yudotan to re-peek into mid. But he gets caught over there with the stun, so he's not able to get out in time. But at the end of the day, it's good patience from his remaining teammates for that retake. And now they switch it up, push out from B side with the breach, with the recon. Oh, that's a deep recon as well. You have to give up so much space here. Oh, Darion with a nice shot as well, holding that close off angle. Man, that's the toxic screen down. Poppy still anchoring on the site. And this seemed to always be what GE wanted even last week, was just let Poppy do his thing on the A site. We try to take space elsewhere. This time they get what they want.
Anchor works out.
Take flight.
Drawing out the barrier mesh as well, so maybe regrouping, breaking that down, and using the drone to re-clear that space up into heaven gives him more options into the site.
It's a nice pick out from Cruz, but they have to continue to play aggressive. Premier with a nice hit, but Poppy gonna utilize that Rolling Thunder to his advantage. They still have ults as well for Talon if they want to make sure they can secure this round.
And possibly anticipating that they are playing that post-plant position with the ults as well, so maybe needing to kind of push out against it. But Cruz hanging further back. Now's the timing to set up that Hunter's Fury. Sends off those beams. Jitboy's able to hold out the front side of things as well. Poppy still able to fight back, now holding the angle. Spike getting stuck. Kelly S gets it just in time for G to pick up the round.
I think Cruz assumed that maybe there wouldn't be enough time, but either way, he didn't get the tag onto Kelly S either, so that's why GE knew they could just stick it. And good timing calculation there from GE, just knowing we have to hold it. You look at the positions they had, Kelly S was never, ever going to let go of that defuse because he had a spotter watching out a little bit close, and then he starts to peek out just to make sure he doesn't get swung on. So full faith on the timer from Kelly S, and that's going to be the defuse. That one stings quite a bit, especially with the Hunter's Fury used as well.
At the same time, just so much impact from one player, Poppy, in these rounds on the map for GE. Next round coming through, and they're continuing to switch up their setups. It's Darion alongside Yudotan on towards A now, trying to hold for that information.
Yeah, and that's going to be, that was meant to be a trap play there for Yudotan, just hiding him away with that trademark, but now they realize it's not going to happen, so you just leave the operator alone, trying to go for a fast rotate, but you're already a step late. The Neon starts charging in, grab net launch. Can you hold on to sight? Crystal, it's a double team between Crystal and Kelly. It's a double swing. Crystal still alive with 2 kills on the board. He's dancing around, he gets a third, and shuts down the entire entry. Spike dropped on sight.
drone out to check as well. He dodges the shock dart, and that it is for Yudotan to come in with the blades. GE equalized the score thanks to Crystal's efforts.
What a good hold. The duo between Crystal and Kelly S. Two IGLs bonded together. They're on the site. Good trades. Crystal set up for the kills. And a good read as well from Kelly S. GE coming alive now, bringing things up to a tied score of 5-5. And suddenly, Talon, they looked so rejuvenated in the beginning, but it's starting to slowly slip away.
Just trying to figure out, you know, what Talon's movements are, slowing down Ben, or at least stopping him in his tracks. Really stifles their momentum. And once again, we're back to the same setup.
And this time, it's a bit of a setup for Poppy, right? You're holding out far back on that angle. Poppy not showing up on top of the box on danger, and he's just holding close next to his smokes. They will force Talon to move away. Talon has to start working the map. They've kind of just been spearheading through the moment they get a chance. The moment they get contact, they choose. Is it A or B? The Neon starts to barrel through. Now it's not working, but you have a lot of room to re-clear mid and A main.
Deploying drone.
Especially mid, though, possibly through vents, but right now, just dealing with Darren to force that rendezvous away. They managed to do it. Hunter's Fury out, though, and then in kind from Crystal. And there it is, back in through. And Yudotan, just on the timing of it, spots out Ben as he tries to make the movements happen.
I love this from Yudotan as well. He does get taken down, but it's such a forward position to try to get a read. Did they leave A main or not? Oh, but that kill opens things up. Governor could continue to be bait. He's not quite checking for Evan. Too many angles for him to check alone. He's stranded. Talon, they couldn't make up their mind. Once Governor got the kill, are we grouping up or not? They're kind of wishy-washy, and now they're late on the rotate. Poppy should be ready for this to just buy time before the spike gets planted.
That's why that smoke is up. Another star up by Danger as well. He hears the hop and sets up yet another smoke, but now footsteps into him. He's able to swing out, gets the kill, and then the spike dropped. 15 seconds left, and Poppy still able to double back to hold down that site. 6 rounds for GE.
You don't ever assume you can break into Poppy's site. This is why GE can play so fluidly around the map elsewhere, because Poppy is just built to anchor down. That's what he's done his entire career. I mean, Talon, it looked like they were starting to push and pull and try to find these gaps and creating these gaps, but they weren't able to actually thread it through that gap. The indecisiveness really biting Talon there in that round.
Ooh, man. Really definitely starts to hurt, especially in the last round, the first half right now. But then trying to come in with the stack into the B site now, just trying to flood on through with that fast lane. Governor straight into the relay bolts, trying to hide around the site itself. Annihilation does connect into Kelly S, but Yudotan with the off angles, a second kill, looks for the third, and trying to hold down the angles, goes in for the spray, and commits, but unfortunately doesn't quite connect. It's the Annihilation that connects into Poppy as well, so back to even numbers now. Darren on and off.
Now, last round, so you just go for it. Trying to draw their attention, trying to get them to peek. And if not, he does have his teammate Crystal. He's already now arrived at the site, but they're ready for it. They realize something's off. It's just the op shots. That's a distraction. We gotta keep our eyes peeled. Darion gets one. It's a good distraction. The timing's perfect for Crystal. Now trying to scout out where the last member is. Time not on the side of GE. They still need to get the kill and go for the defuse. Tries to jump. Ban gets one kill. Crystal just keeps him at bay. He's trying to stick to half, but Ban is not giving him that chance. And Talon will barely tie things up in the first half.
Crazy pacing, trying to swap things around and back into it, being able to find those two players. Yudotan tries so hard to actually hold down the ground, but still, Talon being able to work around all of it.
That was a crucial kill there just to open up a chance even for GE. I mean, the back and forth was great between the two remaining members of Crystal and Darion, but at the end of the day, too little time left to try to leisurely spot out Ban. And Talon will tie things up. Now I was imagining if we see that timeout come out before the first half ends, but Frost and Jovi having faith in their players to try to reclaim some of those rounds, and now they will be going onto the defensive side themselves. So curious to see how they played things out. Obviously, no hard sentinel. Personally, not really going to call Denluck a hard sentinel. I know she's got traps and walls and whatnot, but a little bit of a different category compared to the Cypher and the Killjoy, traditionally speaking. So what do we do here? Because it's going to be tough to just trust Deadlock alone to buy all that time. However, it is primming, right? So put up the barrier mesh, maybe you get a kill or two, peek back and forth, jiggle, he could be a great anchor. But how else are you using that Viper? That's going to be the crucial category right now, and how you deny information, but also delay. When is that single snake bite going to be used by Ban to make sure they get valuable information off of it?
Absolutely, and there's just so much delay at hand. So you got to think, you know, starting things off 6-6 is there definitely is quite a bit of work for GE to do. Starting things off though, bit of a stack in towards the B site.
Okay, so mid to A toxic screen right now. That way you can always try to vie for mid control, but also push out of A. When they re-clear, they still have to spend a lot of utility. And look at that A setup. If they get contact, the Neon is meant to try to draw them into a chase, and then there's the Sonic Sensor to really delay. Meanwhile on the B side, just classic Jit Boys anchoring alongside Ban.
Trying to spam through the smokes right now at least, but still not quite able to find too much. A bit of damage into towards Jit Boys.
But Yudotan, he's taking so much space. They suspect it. They'll push him back out. That's important. He's going to be able to give up that space now.
Yeah, relay back in. Craftnet out as well, just in case he was right around the corner, but able to hold out back far enough. Governor, though.
Yeah, big pickup from Governor there. Just making sure that he's ahead, making sure that they can disrupt some of the positions. But Kelly's, do they check for him? It's a good setup with Yudotan. It's a good crossfire. Yudotan gets the trade, keeps Kelly's alive for another kill onto the side of GE. Now suddenly a 4v2. Talon no longer having any form of an advantage. There's a fault line just to keep the Neon at bay. And Kelly's is just dancing in between these members. Once again with Yudotan, it's 2 kills to each name, 3 on the board for Yudo for the entire round.
So effective at working alongside each other, right? Being able to hold out from danger, allowing Kelly's to stay alive and continuing to wreak havoc towards the back of the site. Just deadly.
And these early kills really means a lot. I thought Governor did a good job of making sure he pushes Yudotan out. Then he gets control of boxes so that they can start the retake, so that it's not a very oppressive post plan coming out from GE. But then they just get picked off. Kelly's is protected on the site. And now we go on to the anti-eco from GE.
Once again, that wall.
Oh, that's a good hit. Darion just holding at long range as well. They expect some of these aggressive push outs, but holding just on the railing. Jit Boys is, I mean, he's basically committing, right? He's saying, I'm just going to hold here until I get a kill. Oh, they get the spot. Is it going to be a double swing? No. They want to even plant Jit Boys. They're really committing out to this fake. I mean, if he can get a kill, it would be great, but do they ever quite peek out? I was wondering if Darion maybe even tries to get ahead of it to peek below from above, but obviously with the toxic screen there, you're opening yourself up when that screen goes down.
So far, not really. Jit Boys will continue to push on through. If he does spot out anything up or towards Ben, then he's going to see that there's nobody there. That should be quite a bit of information as well for Talon.
Oh, and this commitment to B, they know they can buy time with the Barrier Mesh on A. However, they now realize Jit Boys being sent all the way deep for the flank. Nobody there. Barrier Mesh will be broken, and the rotate is going to be late before the spike gets planted.
30
yeah,
seconds
it takes
left.
a bit of time. And in that time, Yudotan sets himself up on top of the boxes. And a little bit of crosshair displacement as well, but back into it. Spikes has been planted for main, so that's where they're gonna hold.
Yeah, I mean, I think you have to just go down to the spike. Sure, you have position. Yes, it's a 5v5, but you only have classics. You didn't invest anything extra into this. No reason to overextend. The only thing will be Jit Boys. He's already on the flank. See if he can get an exit. If not, he needs to make sure that he goes down to one of the opponents, or maybe even just jump off the stage here, because there is no further chance for Talon to try to get any sort of advantage in this round.
Want to give them any alt orbs.
And Darion wants some alt orbs.
Still holding it. Okay, Crystal.
Okay, he's gonna go forward, try to just get whatever he can. And just with the Sheriff, yeah, he'll just go forward with it, but eventually just goes into Spike. Nothing really lost there of value, right? Just the Sheriff. You're not losing any investment. You're also not giving away an alt orb to the opponents.
Yeah. Apart from the round loss to Talon. So, apart from that, so far so good. And with the weapons in their hands, you know, G have a chance at maybe trying to convert the bonus now.
See what they're able to do. I like that they just choose to say, okay, you know, we're just going to give that up. And now GE up ahead. We are going to see that extra investment come out from Crystal as well. He gave up that Sheriff trying to get those extra kills on that last round, but now on their bonus, he's able to match that firepower. So that's an extra Vandal now in their hands.
There.
Bought up and pushing up through this toxic screen already. And the drone might have spotted out a little bit more as well.
It's a fast hit. Toxic screen completely ignored, and you expect to push out, but Darian not able to really clear the inside of that smoke. Good trade from Kelly S, but that's the spike down. Now Ban, he needs to be careful where he chooses to position himself because he's going to be open from a lot of different angles. He's just going to have to fight his way out.
Holds it from the closest off angle, but ooh, it's Yudotan that he's playing against. So instantly Spike picked up and pretty soon planted onto the side. A full 3-on-3 retake.
Now Poppy reclaiming that area as well. He's creating another cross angle. Talon, do they suspect it? Because it's a 3v3. Do you imagine? Oh, they spot each other, and Primmy's very quick with it.
So now it's out to Yudotan. Gets ahead of it at least a little. Takes down Primmy. Goes in for yet another swing. Has to dash anyway, but Crystal comes in to support as well. He spots out the barrel. Yudotan wants to go out for the kill, but it's Cruz able to strike back against GE. A round picked up by Talon.
Cruz always so trustworthy when Talon most needs him, because I was thinking against Yudotan and Crystal, it looked like they were pretty well trained and kind of going back and forth with the bait and switches, but they never quite were able to peek out at the same time. And Cruz just reads it perfectly, says, this is the only chance I get. I just got to win these fights one at a time, and you'll be able to bring one round back for Talon Esports. Oh, very quick on that pickup against Yudo, and then he's just ready for it. Obviously, both Silvas knowing the location of each other. However, that was their buy round, so that's where it's going to still sting a little bit for Talon. So you'll collect some of the half armors, but you're just going to hold on to the creds. It's only one round apart. You got to think for the long game.
Just trying to keep that in mind, but at the same time, defensive setups now. A little bit slightly different, just to kind of pad up the A side a little bit more.
Yeah, I like the sonic sensors here, so that if you choose to try to wrap around on bridge, try to really flank onto that back site, there's double sonic sensors, and Bam would have been ready for a quick peek out. Then you try to hold from heaven, but not seeing anything. Talon trying to get ahead of the movement. Drone going to get spotted on A main at the same time. And so both the Silva and the Chamber know of each other's location. Okay, a little ballsy from Cruz, but Governor with a nice pickup with the hero rifle.
Just being able to duke out against mid. I mean, hearing that drone from Crystal earlier before, just the oppressive toxic screen again from Ban forces them to use util to re-clear mid.
Okay, with the barrier mesh out, now on that timing, past the minute mark onto A main as well as Talon, all eyes trained onto mid. It has to be a flank no matter what, otherwise it's a wild rush in the last 20 seconds. Looks like right now it's gonna be that B side, and Governor, they line up for him. That's a double headshot, able to control that spray, and now Spike down as well. It should be the round for Talon, and GE, they're already positioning themselves away to safety, going for a save.
No other option. That's the best they can do right now. And up for Talon. And the setup really works out incredibly well.
And they're able to upgrade their weapons. That's a big part of this as well, right? We realize that off of that buy round in the previous round, they're not able to continue to buy up. So they say, okay, we take the loss, and now they get a thrifty for it. That's going to pay off dividends for Talon as they tie things up 8-8. This map has been neck and neck, and you know, we got big time over on the desk, always wanting all three maps. He wants maximum Pacific Valorant, and we might be on track to try to make his dreams come true once again here in week 2.
Very, very possible, especially with how everything has been playing out so far. Talon is definitely showing that even though the split, you know, wasn't quite the best map that they cooked up, still putting Permi on some of these other agents and being able to work alongside, you know, a lot of the utility this way definitely gives them more value.
And now it's just like the reverse of the first map. It's going to be GE using up both of their timeouts before Talon even needs to call a single one. Talon held on strong in the first half, realized what their win conditions would be going into the second half. They made it that 6-6, and once again they even things out at 8-8. And GE will have to figure out an answer here on their attack.
can imagine it's definitely possible, though. I mean, the fact that they're coming in off of this 13-3 loss to Team Secret last week, they've already made the adjustments. They're also adapting on the fly to things. Definitely looking a lot better for this team overall. But now onto the attacking side, that's where they're starting to face some of these problems that they've never quite faced before, especially against a team like Talon, pulling out the double controller setup.
So I was about to say that it would be beneficial for them to try to go a bit more headstrong into one of the sites, right? You're just not going to be able to really win a mid fight unless you land all your shots, sure. But outside of that, in terms of utility, that Viper and the double controller on the side of Talon is too oppressive for a mid battle. So going in fast onto that B site, now I wasn't quite sure if it would be a 5-man hit, but that looks like to be the plan off of the timeout for GE.
So straight on, headstrong hit into the side. Yudotan with the blades finds that the whole side's been vacated.
But this is what I wanted to know is earlier, if you go for a 4-man hit and try to hold them off in mid, because there's a very big likelihood that there's going to be a flank. Now they are ready for it, quickly falling all the way back. You still got that trademark as well, and the rendezvous from Darion. It's a bit of a risky situation onto Danger, but he will have one more chance.
Yeah, watching for it. Bit of a rolling thunder as well, just to buy further time too. It does connect into so many of the players from Talon. And here comes Yudotan alongside Darion. All that's left now. Jitboy's playing up around stairs, has to kind of back off, thinking about going for the save. And Yudotan still making quite a bit of noise.
Yeah, just trying to see if he can get a chase in, but otherwise he'll just pick up that free rifle as he came into the round with the Bladestorm. And this is the GE we saw last week. The moment you get a chance, the moment you get contact, we push in, we go for the fight, we take you guys out. You could argue that sometimes it looks like it's a very high-risk play, but GE made it work in week 1, and they're trying to bring that flavor back here in this round.
This works out so incredibly well.
Yeah, I like that they don't just say Rolling Thunder by time, right? It's Rolling Thunder. We surely had to have hit everybody because of the angles we're watching, and we go in for the fight. If no one's there, that's fine. Then we back off again. We've still got extra backup, and now once again, a little bit of a harder fight now onto the A side, but Darion ready to try to pick off anybody who tries to gain control of mid.
So continuing to try to hold for it, but it is that double sonic sensor setup on the A side again.
Nobody watching for a Cruz, just going to be the eyes to make sure that they don't come towards Primi. If they do, he'll notify him. Primi's ready for that shot. He's always so clean with the rifle. They know they're coming.
Trying to break it. Primi thinking about pulling out the utility.
Yeah, but he holds. Barrier mesh off of the drone to make sure there's no quick follow-up.
So now that's a bit of util and a bit of a rotation being pulled over to the A site now.
Yeah, the operator being repositioned, not quite spotted in mid just yet. Darion never peeked out, so this is the whole idea after that timeout, right? Is put pressure on one side, do they push out of mid, then Darion picks up the kill. But you're never really going to try to aggressively fight in mid because you just don't have the advantage. Now with a lack of information, GE, they want to go for a fake, but already Crystal taken down. Yudotan, not quite spotted. Oh, maybe it looks like he has been. Util trained.
Uh-oh.
He's just gonna hold on. They're not quite sure if he's still there or not, but Yudotan's just going to wait.
Then you gotta look for Ban's position closer towards the B site. It was such a good spot. He wasn't spotted or anything, but now GE thinking back to rotate.
But they heard him. Ban heard them start running. You look at the positions. Talon, they're still holding strong, and Jitboy's just making sure it's not a wraparound through mid. This is going to be an absolute crash, and they just have to sprint in for the spike. It's only 10 seconds left. The op trying to get a shot, and there's the overdrive. It takes down everybody as Primi and Governor hold on to the site. Good positioning from Ban. So there's all this pushing and pulling on the A side and mid, but quite frankly, at the end of the day, the biggest piece of information that Talon had was Ban as that drone, as the eyes and ears, all the way forward past Danger over by the B site.
Cheering for all of it. Once you're down onto the side at 10 seconds left, I mean, your only option is to truly go for the kill. Just can't quite get the spike down safely anyways. So flawless round for Talon now, tying up the score 9-9.
And now this time it's a forward position with the operator on the A side. So similar concept, but it's a much faster rotation because you trust in Darion to be able to get that pick. You're trying to make Talon to get curious. Use a drone. Peek back out. You know you want information because otherwise you haven't really been able to go for those fast rotates.
Deploying drone.
Not really seeing anything yet still though. I mean, thrown out towards the B side now.
All right, the real question will be, are they aware of Ban's position while they hunt for Jit Boys? Because it's going to be a double setup. Ban already gets one. Now it's a double on the site, Yudotan, but Jit Boy's still alive, and he's in position to start to back out safely to regroup. Backup has arrived. Jit Boys actually doesn't quite need it. He's going to take down Yudotan as well.
Somehow inside of the smoke, and now all that's left, I mean, Crystal alongside Darian. At least Crystal on the site, so maybe looking for some kind of an opportunity. Perhaps the spike.
Just trying to see if they can maybe get out some extra util, get a free kill with the operator. Crystal, he's going to get one himself. And Darian still watching over by Heaven, but they don't know if there's been a cross. There's the annihilation, and that's going to catch him. There's the spike all the way getting drawn out. Darian, you got to make a choice, but I don't think there really is one. The spike right in the middle of enemy territory.
No, keeping themselves inside of cover as well. There's no chance whatsoever for Darian, even getting clipped in the back as he tried to cross on over into safety. Talon truly trying to find and extend their lead right now.
Yeah, first time they've reclaimed the lead since round 10 when GE tied it up 5-5. Catching a bit of a break, but it's not much. You know, 10-9, it's anybody's game. This time it's a good hold from Talon. Great double team between Jit Boys and Ban. All those smokes really working out to their advantage.
Especially for Ben as well. I mean, thanks to those smokes, able to peek wide outside of Rafters. Next round coming through now, and the adjustment is going to be a 3-stack on the B side for Talon.
Yeah, with the operator as well. Oh, and he catches Yudo before he takes flight. Shutting him down.
To it as well, and thanks to the smokes, being able to still hold the ground, especially with that op again.
It's just going to be a reset from GE. They don't really have information anywhere else, right? This was an all-in, especially given that it's not really a strong buy. You just had that stinger in hand, and then the sheriffs. So they just hope that the silence is going to bait out Talon to reset, which it does, but Talon's not missing out on much either. They still have an operator, they still have the numbers advantage, and they will just be able to regroup, still leaning heavier towards this B site.
Right here.
You got the numbers, why not? And Primi is safe enough on the A site, so straight into it. Global trying to sneak on through with the smokes. They've managed to keep themselves towards backside. The wall bang not quite connecting. So at least the spike goes down. Crystal from long range with the Sheriff as well, still able to connect it.
Oh, you don't want to give these 1v1s if you're Talon, using that Cosmic Divide just to try to get through. There comes the Hunter's Fury coming out from Crystal. Is it going to be able to? No, it's just going to buy time. Not really doing too much damage. Ban now already onto the side. That's a good catch with the grab net as well. And Crystal all alone just has to go for the shock darts. It'll get some chip damage in, but someone already pushed up. Yes, he gets a kill for his troubles, but the round will still be going over to Talon. Man, I mean, you know, giving those 1v1s Talon, I love the fact that they were much more careful, though. Yeah, they give one over to Crystal from long range, but even before, if we look, Cruz was already pinging. We left that side open. They might be in the corner. He sends a recon as well to make sure they can group up. They have the confidence that if they're able to set up, they should be winning these fights. And then you commit the Cosmic Divide as well, isolate that long range from Crystal, clearly keeping that number advantage.
So much being found by Talon right now.
Right here.
So you're thinking about how G might be able to fight back, but so far the B hits not quite working out. And if you're thinking about A, that's where now the Viper Spit comes up.
Viper Spit on top of the Sonic Sensors. That's a rough site to get into. So the only thing you should worry about is going to be that flank, and Primi's ahead of it. They know they gave up some mid control. He's up on Heaven, waiting for that vent door to break. Sonic Sensor as well, and then a nice catch from Jit Boys. GE starting to fall apart. They're all over the place in mid, just giving up these free peeks.
There.
And there's another one for Governor. He knows the chase has to come through, because otherwise GE, they would have to wrap all the way back around spawn. And that's the only place you can really come in from. Again, just full faith in Ban's Viper's Pit.
Yeah, at this point, there's not too many options for GE, right? The Viper's Pit in his phase, and if they do double back in towards mid, you're thinking about the op. It's just, what are you going to do? 50 seconds left on the clock. The only option to try to kind of save.
They'll just wait. I mean, they were trying to go for that ult orb sound and then the run away with the fake, but there's no reason for Talon to peek out. Now, I don't blame GE, just because the Talon team in this roster, they have done unnecessary moves before. Like all last year, there have been some overextending, there has been some overheating, so I like the attempt at a bait, but that's the most they could have done, like you said, especially now with this barrier mesh. They really just have to wait for the time and go for that save because your credits aren't looking good, and now it's going to be map point for Talon, one step away from taking us to the third map of Lotus.
All right, 2025 Talon. Still though, kind of affording at least a kill in towards GE. You never quite know what that might turn out to be. A couple of players close to their ultimates now.
Oh, I love
the round close to an end.
I love the patience from Talon, because if you went for extra kills here just to ruin the economy, you might have actually accidentally given over 2 big power ultimates to Poppy and Kelly S. So even keeping that in mind to make sure you're not giving any extra chances over to GE.
Just being able to keep that still. Got you. But that's right. I mean, now working against map point 9-3. I mean, how do you find, way back into this map, given the fact that your economy's not too great? It's going to be those Guardians and Light Shields. Darren in with the tour de force.
Yeah, it has to be Darien, quite frankly, right? A lot of the macro hasn't been working out for your favor. So they're going to try to hold them off on A. See if you can bait out some of that extra utility, maybe force them to think that it's a chamber on this side, but that toxic screen, again, makes peeking out of that A main so easy for Talon. You just take it step by step. And Darien, he's just going to look for these rotations. But Talon, do they even commit to it? I don't think they need to. You've already pushed out far into A main. Now a slow creep towards B as you hear the drone coming in. But you never were meant to fill this site. Look at JiGABYTE's position. He just wants to hold on to back site.
This is all GE has. It has to be the B site. Spike planted now at the very least. And they're going to have to try to hold it so far back in towards Nest, back in towards main. You're watching for the potential flanks and in for the floods through stairs as well. At least the stars are up. And Poppy's trying to work alongside them, but the fast lane's in his face. Darien just to watch his back. Darien unfortunately gets gunned down by JiGABYTE now though from stairs, and Poppy doing his best to try to anchor around the site. And off the timing of things, that's when Cruz comes out from the back. Poppy gunned down. Crystal the only one left, and he's way too far from the site. Sends out the recon, but JiGABYTE is sticking the defuse, and there it is. Talon closes out the second map, 13-9. We are going to a map 3.
The patience from Talon there to wait for Cruz to fully get the flank. Governor, he jumps down and he just says, well, it's either you coming into the smoke for me when I'm only the shorty, or we're just dancing around until I get more backup. They slowly just encroach onto that site, and then the moment Cruz gets that kill onto Kelly S, suddenly everybody floods right onto the spike. It's a great retake from Talon Esports, looking a lot better on this map too. And maybe the desk was right. Maybe it was just that, first game back on the big stage jitters, and Talon has shaken them off.
So much of it. Just seeing how effective this composition can be as well, especially on the defensive half. You're seeing all of that utility come into fruition. The double sonic sensor setup on towards the A site, and Pan just being such a menace, especially throughout on his Viper's toxic screen all throughout the map.
Yeah, it's just been a great map from Talon. Everyone really doing their part. Governor also playing the bait when he needs to, but really able to go for those op shots when he needed as well. And JiGABYTE really coming back alive as an anchor, saying, hey, when I'm given the chance, I can do the same thing too. Poppy is a pretty good player, but JiGABYTE was one of the OG rookie controllers here in Vct Pacific, and he's shining once again. Talon playing their composition to perfection as well. You mentioned it, things like the toxic screen, the sonic sensors, it was all set up very, very well in favor of them, especially on that defensive side.
That said, though, a few successful rounds for G nonetheless. Kelly S alongside Yudotan have been doing quite a bit of damage, carrying that performance over from the first map. So hopefully being able to see a bit of that in the third map as well. But for now, I mean, this has been such a good second map for Talon. How does this really all shake up? We have to toss it back over to our analyst to tell us everything.
Everything. There's so much, though. There's so much to talk about. Talon finding the wind in their sails for map 2, bringing us to a proper full series here. This is what we want to see. We want to see a good game, and this was very interesting. Talon seemed to have figured out a lot of things. This is a lot better than we expected. Global, though, coming back a little bit there, but I don't know. I think they need a little bit more time to rework their Abyss.
Yeah, I like the changes that they tried to make. Obviously, they tried to shake things up, bring in the chamber, but I didn't really feel it have a ton of impact. I didn't see Darion really manage to pick apart Talon in a way a chamber would.
To be fair, it wasn't really his fault. Like, Talon was doing a fantastic job of neutralizing him. You'll see some highlights of that later on that we've taken from the game, but you know, the utility and the way that they push him off those angles, the amount of times that he just got droned off the line by Cruz, he really had his impact minimized. Yudotan is really the one that actually kept them in this game. I mean, it's the stars for GE that make them a consistent roster time and time again. That first half was very back and forth. I actually thought Talon probably could have got more out of their attacking side as far as I'm concerned, but fumbled some of the rounds in the mid round and the XVX. I think at the end of the day, it's GE's attack side that really let them down. Like, he had one or two really good calls off of the attack pause, which I'm assuming is coming from the coaching staff, like the Rolling Thunder ult round on B in the after plant, but after that, they really didn't seem like they could figure out how to attack into the comp that Talon brought here onto Abyss.
Yeah, I think the big thing for me was Talon's retake on B. They felt very, very comfortable giving space when they needed to and taking it back. I would like what they were doing with their Toxic Screen on Viper as well to kind of lock out that mid and A control. It gives you a lot of sequential control. I just felt like they really understood how to play defense on this map.
They also kept changing up their approach. Like, some of the rounds, the site was left completely wide open. There wasn't a single player playing on it. It was just a Toxic Orb. Some of the rounds you had someone in a Toxic Orb and just buying time, and then they had a cute little setup that they were playing.
Yeah, I think they had a lot prepared for this. And this is what Talon has been saying that they have. They said, we're really good at macro. We've got so many different things up our sleeves. And and we saw a lot of it displayed here. I
mean, this is a great start to the first gun round. You see, this is the first round that Darion gets an op out. It's exactly why they wanted to mix up the chamber to try to get him more involved in the game, as opposed to the Cypher. Drone comes out, instant stun, forces him to TP off the line. He can't even be allowed to take a shot. Then we go into this B after plant where you have the Annihilation that hits the rotating player. And although Talon didn't win this round, this is a great example of how they're able to play the macro well and push and pull the rotations and neutralize the effectiveness of the op.
Yeah, I definitely liked what they were trying to do in terms of macro this game. This was a great round where they understand that the strength of their comp is in the post plan. So they're able to kind of set up this kind of fake towards B, end it back on A and find a completely free and open site. And then you're post-planting with your Viper ult, you have deadlock traps, you have Astra utility. Trying to retake into this is hard.
I mean, this kind of reminds me of what Nongshim does, to be honest. You're sending the Neon in, that's pulling 3 or 4 rotations to the other side of the map. You get the kill on the player that's deep A main that's holding an info line, and exactly like you said, deadlock wall on spawn, Viper ult across the site. That's an impossible retake when you're already 15 seconds on the other side of the map in terms of rotations and the spikes ticking.
Yeah, exactly. There was an excellent use of Neon, especially when you're doing a lot of swinging from site to site. And this is, again, the specialty of Talon. And when it works, it looks so good. And we could see it happening there, especially with their macro plays. I'm curious now how Global is going to be tackling this. Going to Lotus is going to be our next map. And it's a big map. Talon, historically, we saw this happen in stage 2. They got, 0-13 by Paper X. They didn't do so well near the end against Jet G. It wasn't great. They like Lotus though. They either pick it or they let it through every single time.
Yeah, you know what this reminds me of? The real GE fans out there will remember it. Last year in 2024, obviously I was there. We played against Talon. Map 1, we stopped them. Map 2, we lost a very close map, and then we ended up losing map 3. So I feel bad for the guys in GE. I feel bad for the people at the watch party there. You don't want to relive this nightmare. So I hope GE can bounce back stronger into this map 3.
This is a map where you have no idea what's going to go on. Like, Talon, I think, lost like 13-2 in the offseason to Gen G on this map. GE, I don't think we've even seen them play Lotus yet, so this is just a bloody coin flip as far as I'm concerned. You have no idea what you're going to get from either of these teams, but even if you did have some tape, you had some data of what you thought was going to happen, you've already seen both of these teams continue to change their comps map to map to map and try to get better reads on each other, try to go for a little bit of an anti-strat based on what they saw compositionally, or maybe what didn't work for them in the case of GE's Abyss.
Yeah, I think I'm expecting a chaotic map 3. I'm expecting
this will be messy.
I'm expecting some crazy picks as well.
Yes.
Both these teams don't mind a little bit of cooking. They don't mind, trying different things. So I think I'm excited to see what they go for.
I just want to pitch this one. I know this is insane, but what if you put Primi on a duelist? Like, wouldn't that be crazy?
What? We can't have that. Talon would never do that. They would never do that. Primi on a duelist.
It
Why
might
would
work
we
well.
give him so many kills and
Might work well.
let him entry? But I think it's interesting though, because the way we saw Primi actually play when he first came in, I think there was a little bit of refinement that was needed, a little bit of discipline that he needed. You know, when you're coming into the tier 1 pro play, it's so different than pulling off rank. So I can almost understand why they haven't really put him on duelist yet, except in the off season. So maybe they're still working on a couple things. But this could be the map. This could be it, Pilski.
I hope so.
I think the biggest difference when you're coming in from ranked is not necessarily the gameplay, like your own ability to perform in the server.
Yeah.
A lot of it comes down to like how you are as a teammate,
Right.
your communication, the much more intangible things that we don't necessarily see from up here.
Yes.
So that could definitely be one reason they moved him away from duelist, if his communication style didn't naturally fit, if he was a more quiet player, for example.
I will also say it really feels like, especially in these last 2 maps, the Talon approach is sacrificial duelist, space creation. You're seeing
Yes.
Governor run in on the Neon. They were playing Yoru Raze on the previous map. They really want the duelists to not necessarily be fragging out, but instead to be playing within the system. And then Primi's being put in roles where, as the Deadlock, or in the case of the Teo on the first map, he can come in after throwing the utility, he can utilize his mechanics and then get more involved in the mid to late round. You know, you want that player with the really good fragging power involved in closing out the round in the important stages of it.
Yeah, I think that's a really great.
चलो भाइयों, एक मैच जीत सकती है, अभी भी चांसेस है। तो वैलो खेले क्या, क्या करें? वैलो खेलते हैं भाई लोगों अब। इसको चलो खेलते हैं वैलो।
रहा है, उनने पहली बार तेओ उठाया है। क्रिस्टल ऑन द तेओ, डेरियन एक बार फिर से चेंबर पे। चेंबर, वाइस, डेडलॉक, ट्रिपल सेंटिनल सेटअप बाय ग्लोबल स्पोर्ट्स। क्या ये काम आ सकता है?
Well,
जीरो इंफॉर्मेशन एजेंट्स, कीप इन माइंड, सिर्फ कैली का जो शेयर वॉल है एंड डेरियन का जो अलार्म बॉट है, उन दोनों के इंफॉर्मेशन के बेसिस पे ग्लोबल स्पोर्ट्स को अपना सारे रोटेशंस बेस करने पड़ेंगे। बाकी कोई भी इन्फो इनके पास नहीं है। एटलीस्ट टैलेंट के पास जो फेड है उससे थोड़ा बहुत सेटअप पता लग सकते हैं, लेकिन जी हैज नन ऑफ दैट। वाइस का सेटअप उन्होंने लगा दिया है पूरा का पूरा सी पे, डेडलॉक का सेटअप है ए पे, बी पे। तेहो विल गो एंड चेक विद हिज ड्रोन।
थोड़ा सा इन्फॉर्मेशन मिलेगा यहाँ पे क्रिस्टल को कि टैलेंट कहाँ पे लाइन अप कर रही है, एंड मुझे तो लगता है कि दिस इज जस्ट मे बी अ बेट। कोशिश कर रहे हैं कि फिगर आउट करने की सेटअप्स कैसे रहेंगे, बिकॉज स्पाइक है स्टिल बीइंग लेफ्ट बैक। डोर ओपन करेंगे सी साइड के बाहर, अभी सारे के सारे खिलाड़ी मौजूद रहेंगे जरूर, बट द बैरियर मैश इज हियर। गवर्नर कोशिश करे तो उसको ब्रेकआउट करने की, बट ही विल बी फिक्सेटेड। अभी सी साइड पे अकेले खिलाड़ी कैली एस, उनके साथ रहेंगे पापी। ये ब्रेक डाउन करना मुश्किल रहेगा।
ओके, सारी की सारी जो यूटिल है ग्लोबली स्पोर्ट्स की, वो बेट आउट कराने की कोशिश है यहाँ पे टैलेंट की। डेडलॉक वॉल बेट आउट करवा दिया बी पे, वाइस वॉल बेट आउट करवा दिया सी पे, ए पे अब तक कोई प्रेजेंस नहीं दिखाई है उन्हें, लेकिन अब तक क्या यहाँ पे वो एक्चुअली एग्जीक्यूट करेंगे? मुझे लगता तो नहीं है। देहो के मिसाइल से बेट आउट करवा लिया, जी हैज नथिंग टू स्टॉप देम अगर यहाँ पे टैलेंट का फुल एग्जीक्यूट आता है तो। और ऐसा लगता है कि सी पे अभी हमला होने ही वाला है। गुड फ्लैश, थोड़ा डिले होएगा उससे, लेकिन पिक मिल जाएगा केलियस को। क्या वो फॉल बैक कर पाएंगे? जी नहीं। यहाँ पे री एग्रेस करने की कोशिश, लेकिन जिट बॉयज उन्हें मार गिराएंगे। एंड देखते ही देखते एक 3v3 सिनेरियो वापस हमें देखने मिलेगा।
Oh no, this might hurt Crystal. बैरियर मैच में फंसते हुए यहाँ पे 2 for 2 ट्रेड्स बहुत बढ़िया निकाले थे बापी और केलीएस ने, बट टैलेंट ऑफ कोर्स स्टेप्ड अप इन टाइम। प्रेमी को मुझे देखना है कि यहाँ पे कैसा सेटअप बनाते हैं पोस्ट प्लान के लिए सारे के सारे खिलाड़ी वाटरफॉल से फ्लशिंग करते हुए। एंड आई थिंक
मिसाइल्स रेडी अगेन,
मिसाइल्स रेडी अगेन, आई वांट टू सी देम लॉन्च। नाइस, एंड ऑफ कोर्स आई लव दैट डेरियन का शॉट कनेक्ट होता हुआ। प्रेमी कम्स इन फ्रॉम बिहाइंड, टैलेंट एक एक करके खिलाड़ी को पिक ऑफ करते हुए इट्स डेरियन। चलेंगे नहीं जा रहा, बैन काफी आसानी से यहाँ पे पिक ऑफ करेंगे। टैलेंट विंस द पिस्टल राउंड। ग्लोबली स्पोर्ट्स का एक वीकनेस रहेगा हमेशा से, इवन इन द फर्स्ट मैप पिस्टल राउंड्स उनके खाते में ज्यादा जा नहीं रहे थे।
जी हाँ, दे लॉस्ट बोथ द पिस्टल राउंड्स इन स्प्लिट। नोटिस अभी पहला पिस्टल राउंड उन्हें हार गए हैं। एंड या you know there was a time in 2023 2024 जब ग्लोबल esports को बेस्ट पिस्टल टीम इन द वर्ल्ड माना जाता था। the times have changed so much.
चलो एटलीस्ट जीत तो रहे अभी। नेवर माइंड, टैलेंट की अगर बात करें दिस टाइम दे हैव अ लॉट ऑफ दैट इकोनॉमी। बट डेरियन विद दैट फर्स्ट शॉट टेक्स डाउन वन, इमीडिएट फॉल बैक करेंगे। स्नैप बैक बहुत बेहतरीन, बट डैमेज उनको पड़ा है जरूर, तो फॉल बैक करना पड़ेगा। केलियस की कंधों पे बहुत ज्यादा भार। एक गन अगर रिट्रीव हो सकती थी क्रिप्स तो बहुत बेहतरीन एक मौका बन सकता था ग्लोबल स्पोर्ट्स को शट डाउन करने के लिए। बट अभी भी आई बिलीव दिस राउंड इज हेवीली इन द फेवर ऑफ टैलेंट।
काफी अच्छे वेपन्स हैं, फैंटम, वैंडल, आउटलॉ, और इसलिए ग्लोबल स्पोर्ट्स बहुत ही पैसिवली खेल रही है। ए पे पूरी तरह से उनने प्रेजेंस गायब कर ली है अपनी, नॉट इवन वन पीस ऑफ यूटिलिटी। बी लिंक का दरवाजा तोड़ दिया गया है क्योंकि उन्हें मालूम है कि टैलेंट वैसे भी वो तोड़ने वाली है, आके वो क्रीप इन करेंगे। लेकिन इस बार अच्छी रीड है ग्लोबल स्पोर्ट्स की तरफ से। ओह नो वेट, ये स्मोक तो जिट बॉयज का है। दैट्स अ क्रॉसओवर स्मोक। वो स्मोक डालते ही पता पड़ गया कि ये मरने वाले हैं। गुड ग्रैब नेट, मिसाइल्स में 2 लोग कैप्चर हो सकते थे, लेकिन जिट बॉयज एंड गवर्नर ने जस्ट एम के बेसिस पे अपने आप को इस सिचुएशन से बाहर निकाल दिया है। दैट कुड हैव बीन सो डेडली। And we've seen those combinations in Split as well. The Grabnet plus Nade was working so beautifully for Global Esports in Split. बार-बार अलग-अलग सेटअप्स कर रहे थे। इस बार Nade तो नहीं है, लेकिन Grabnet and Missiles का सेटअप बहुत ही ज़्यादा काम का आ सकता है इनके लिए।
डेफिनेटली, बट मौका रहेगा जरूर आगे आने वाले राउंड्स पे। ग्लोबल स्पोर्ट्स इस राउंड में कुछ खास कर नहीं पाए, 2 वेपन्स गिराएंगे, बट आई बिलीव टैलेंट दे डोंट रियली माइंड। अभी शायद वो पहला मौका बनेगा जब ग्लोबल स्पोर्ट्स बैक बनाने की कोशिश करेंगे। बट दैट पहला शॉट, दैट फर्स्ट शॉट फ्रॉम गवर्नर, इट वाज सो ब्यूटीफुल। यहाँ पे जेट बॉयज क्या बात कर रहे थे, हिज टीपी एंड द डबल शॉट वाज ब्रिलियंट। चक्कू भी हो सकते थे यहाँ पे वो खिलाड़ी वाइस, बट फाइनली द फ्लिक एंड एवरीथिंग मेड इट अ लिटिल मोर डिफिकल्ट फॉर हिम।
फाइनली जी की तरफ से प्रॉपर बाय राउंड आ जाएगा। एक बार ग्रैब नेट पे फिर से उन्हें पकड़ा लिया गया है एंड मिसाइल्स टुवर्ड्स डबल। हियर कम्स द एग्रेशन। गवर्नर ऑलमोस्ट मारे जा चुके हैं, 14 एचपी पे सर्वाइव करेंगे। उनको निकालने के लिए एक फॉलो अप प्राउलर आएगा सो दैट ही कैन बी टेकन आउट ऑफ दैट सिचुएशन। लेकिन टैलेंट स्पोर्ट्स यहाँ पे फॉल बैक करने का बिल्कुल नाम नहीं ले रहे। एक 4v4 सिचुएशन होने के बाद डेडलॉक का बैरियर मैश यहाँ पे डाल दिया जाएगा जस्ट टू स्लो देम डाउन अ लिटिल बिट। लेकिन जी ने कितनी सारी यूटिल ऑलरेडी एक्सपेंड कर दी है अपनी। चलो मिसाइल्स तो रिचार्ज हो जाएंगे अगले कुछ 30 समथिंग सेकंड्स में, लेकिन बाकी यूटिल वापस नहीं आने वाली। एंड पिस्टल राउंड में भी टैलेंट ने यही एक सक्सेस फॉर्मूला इस्तेमाल किया था। दे बेटेड आउट ऑल द यूटिल व्हिच स्लोज देम डाउन, एंड जब टैलेंट का एक्चुअल एग्जीक्यूट आएगा तब जी के पास कुछ नहीं रहेगा। ये देखिए स्नीक इन। डेडलॉक ऑलरेडी ए पे पहुंच चुके हैं। बैन की तरफ से ये पोजीशन बहुत ही शानदार, पापी रोप पे पकड़े गए। एंड नाउ एक ही वक्त है, एक ही सिचुएशन है जहां पे जीत सकती है, एंड दैट इज टू कट दिस फाइट लूज विद द टर्न वन एंड डन। नो, ही डजंट गेट एनीथिंग डन।
मौका बन सकता था, दैट इज व्हाट आई वाज टॉकिंग अबाउट क्रिप्स।
ओह माय गॉड,
ए का वो पोजीशनिंग, ए साइड को खुला छोड़ना, एक्सप्लॉइटिंग ट्री एंड ऑफ कोर्स मिड के थ्रू आते हुए ए साइड को फिर से वापस कंट्रोल में लेना, दैट वाज ब्रिलियंट। केलियस अकेले खिलाड़ी है बट उनके पास एक फैंटम फुल एचपी अभी भी मौजूद। यूटिलिटी ज़्यादा है नहीं, बट ही हैज़ बीन स्पॉटेड आउट। अभी चलिए देखिए, बैन को पता है केली इस अकेले खिलाड़ी है, तो द मैक्सिमम ही कैन डू इज जस्ट ड्रॉप अ फ्यू गन्स। ग्लोबल स्पोर्ट्स ये उनका राउंड बन सकता था, बट दिस हैज आल्सो बीन शट डाउन। ये पैटर्न अगर क्विक रिकॉग्नाइज करेंगे कि हमारे जो स्लोइंग यूटिलिटीज है हमको थोड़ा सा होल्ड करना पड़ेगा, वी कांट जस्ट गिव देम अवे राउंड की शुरुआत में ही। अगर वो पैटर्न रिकॉल कर लेते यहाँ पे ग्लोबल स्पोर्ट्स, आई बिलीव थोड़े चेंजेस हो सकते हैं एटलीस्ट स्कोर लाइन पे।
जी के लिए वो एग्रेसिव स्टैट्स, डिफेंसिव साइडेड एग्रेसिव स्टैट्स जो थे, पुश करके इन्फो गैदर करो, मैप कंट्रोल लो, इट वाज वर्किंग फॉर देम ब्यूटीफुली इन अबिस। लेकिन जैसे ही टैलेंट अपने डिफॉल्ट्स पे वापस चले जाएंगे, जी के लिए वापस प्रॉब्लम शुरू हो जाएगी। और अब जाके जी का जो कॉम्पोजिशन है उस पे एक बहुत क्रूशियल वीकनेस आपको देखने मिलेगी, एंड दैट इज दे डोंट हैव मच यूटिलिटी टू री-क्लियर एरियाज। अगर टैलेंट डिफॉल्ट पे डिफॉल्ट करते रहे तो काफी सारे राउंड्स ऐसे रहेंगे जहां पे जी को कहीं पे भी कुछ नहीं दिख रहा, एंड टू गैदर सम इंफॉर्मेशन उनको अपने एक प्लेयर को खुद आगे भेजना पड़ेगा टू फेस चेक इट। ऐसे सिचुएशन में फेड का जो हॉन्ट है या फिर कोई सोवा का रिकॉन है वो बहुत काम का आता टू री-क्लियर एरियाज एज डिफेंडर्स, एंड ये विन कंडीशन टैलेंट ने आइडेंटिफाई कर ली है, इसलिए वो जितना हो सके डिफॉल्ट पे खेलने की कोशिश करेंगे।
बहुत एग्रेसिवली साइड क्लियर करने की कोशिश की गई थी यहाँ पे ग्लोबल स्पोर्ट्स के द्वारा ए साइड के ऊपर। क्रिप्स आप ये भी देखिए कि इंस्टेंट रीड आया कि ए साइड पे कोई प्रेजेंस है नहीं, इंस्टेंट फॉल बैक टू बी, एंड ऑफ कोर्स टैलेंट नोज कि अगर ये चीज होती है तो हमको सी में जाने के लिए भी कोई रोक नहीं रहा है, बट दैट वाज जस्ट अ फेक।
Oh my god, that is deadly! The grab net with the sheriffs completely destroying Talon Esports just down to the last two members. प्रेमी के पास जो आउटलॉ है उससे थोड़ा बहुत उन्हें किल मिलेंगे, लेकिन नाइस आक्रोस फ्लैश क्रिस्टल को जो वैंडल मिली थी, रिकवर हुई थी, उससे एक और किल निकाल लिया गया, एंड देखते ही देखते ग्लोबल स्पोर्ट्स ने ये राउंड ऑलमोस्ट थ्रिफ्टी तरीके से जीत लिया है। इट्स जस्ट डाउन टू गवर्नर।
अगर मैं गलत नहीं हूँ, क्रिप्स अभी तक उड़ोतान का खाता खुला नहीं है, बट उस एक ग्रेवनेट से आई बिलीव इस पूरे राउंड को कन्वर्ट करेंगे, अपने सारे साथियों को वो किल देंगे। एंड दिस मैन जेट पे अपनी बंदूक का कमाल दिखाते हैं वर्सेस व्हेन ही स्विचेस ऑन टू द सेंटिनल। दिमाग का खेल है उनका, ही हैज बीन शाइनिंग एवरीवेयर फिलहाल।
एग्जैक्टली, और ये देख लीजिए ट्रिपल स्टैक है, गवर्नर जैसे यहाँ पे आएंगे उनको एक जंप स्केयर मिलेगा। 3 guns pointed in his direction. The funny thing is, उदोतान को as a sentinel ही hire किया गया था, even though उनके पिछले टीम में Rare Atom में he was the star duelist of the team. लेकिन जब उन्हें ग्लोबल ई-स्पोर्ट्स के ट्राईआउट्स में पार्टिसिपेट किया, तब भी एज अ डुएलिस्ट उन्हें पार्टिसिपेट किया था। पैट्रिक हु के आने के बाद उनको सेंटिनल रोल पे स्विच करवाया गया था, एंड ही वाज परफॉर्मिंग दैट आल्सो रियली वेल। लेकिन डेरियन का चेंबर ये एक नया सरप्राइज है, ये किसी ने एक्सपेक्ट नहीं किया था। सो फार इट हैजंट पोज्ड टू मेनी प्रॉब्लम्स। ओह बट लुक एट दीस मिसाइल्स एंड द ग्रैब नेट। इस बार गवर्नर उसके आगे जाएंगे डॉज करने के लिए। नाइस पिक ऑन टू उदोतान, लेकिन डेरियन को वापस से एक ट्रेड मिल जाएगा, एंड देखते ही देखते 4v4 वापस से ऐसे सिचुएशंस में अटैकर्स को काफी एडवांटेज होता है। लेकिन प्रीमी को एक दूसरा किल मिल चुका है ऑन केली टुवर्ड्स बी, मेक इट 2, एंड दिस इज व्हाट आई वाज टॉकिंग अबाउट। प्रीमी ऑन द ग्लोव इज जस्ट a killing machine.
चलिए एक और मिलेगा जरूर।
My God.
ट्रिपल किल ऑन प्रीमी। पापी को कोई अंदाजा नहीं था उस पोजीशन के बारे में, और अब बस अकेले खिलाड़ी डेरियन। अब बात ही कर रहे थे इस खिलाड़ी के चेंबर के बारे में। ऑफ कोर्स वी सॉ 2 मैप्स, दोनों मैप पे इनका चेंबर चला, बट इस मैप पे टैलेंट एज अ टीम उनको मौका नहीं दे रहे, डेरियन को ज्यादा पिक्स नहीं दे रहे। फिर से यहाँ पे ऑप सेव करने के कगार पे आ जाएंगे, एंड देयर इज नथिंग मच दिस प्लेयर कैन डू ऑनेस्टली। क्रिस्टल पे आई थिंक ग्लोबल ई-स्पोर्ट्स बहुत ज़्यादा रिलाई कर रहे हैं इन गेटिंग इन्फॉर्मेशन, स्टॉपिंग दोज अर्ली अटैक्स, बट एक बार वो अटैक्स आते हैं मुझे लगता है कि और ज़्यादा ऑप्शंस बचते नहीं है वंस क्रिस्टल्स यूटिलिटीज आर फ्लश्ड आउट।
या क्रिस्टल की यूटिलिटी तो एक बार चलो फिर भी रिचार्ज हो सकती है। द मिसाइल्स हैव अ प्रीटी शॉर्ट कूलडाउन, एंड जिस तरह से टैलेंट बहुत पैसिवली खेल रही है, बहुत डिफॉल्ट तरीके से खेल रही है, क्रिस्टल कैन प्रोबब्ली लॉन्च हिज गाइडेड सैल्वो ट्वाइस इन द राउंड। लेकिन उदोतान बार बार मारे जा रहे हैं स्टार्ट में ही, वो एक बहुत ही बड़ा कंसर्न है। इवन केली की जो यूटिलिटी है सी पे, वो ऑलमोस्ट कभी भी कामयाब नहीं हुई है, क्योंकि हर बार वो यूटिल बेट आउट कर दी जाती है। और ये जो स्टार्टिंग का माइक्रोवेव सेटअप है जो ग्लोबल ई-स्पोर्ट्स इस्तेमाल कर रहे हैं, द ग्रैब नेट एंड द मिसाइल्स कॉम्बो, वो डॉज करने के लिए तो हमेशा गवर्नर सैचल आउट कर देंगे, जो ओमन है वो हमेशा टेलीपोर्ट कर देंगे रबल पे, तो उसके कारण वो माइक्रोवेव सेटअप भी अवॉइड कर रहे हैं टैलेंट। एंड जी का वो अर्ली ए रबल का जो यूटिल है वो बिल्कुल काम नहीं आ रहा उनके लिए, कुछ ना कुछ यहाँ पे बदलना पड़ेगा। डेरियन के हाथ में ऑफ अभी भी मौजूद। ओह, दैट्स अ वेरी फास्ट कमिटमेंट ऑफ द फ्रॉम द शैडोज। यहाँ पे कैली को बहुत ज्यादा डिफिकल्टी होने वाली है। ही जस्ट फॉल्स बैक। वाइस चॉइस। शो स्टॉपर आ रहा था उनकी तरफ, उनको ये भी नहीं मालूम है कि जिग बॉयज कहाँ पे पहुंचे हैं, तो इट्स वाइज टू गिव अप सी साइड फॉर नाउ।
We're set for a 5-5 retake. Global Esports. One-way smoke के through उनको clear out करना पड़ेगा। उड़ोतान does have that grab net. Drone करेंगे, information मिला है यहाँ पे, पकड़े जाएंगे। But अभी तक कोई commitment दिखे नहीं। उड़ोतान moves back. Armageddon इनको completely avoid करते हुए उड़ोतान finds the first track, but instant trade off. Premi
Oh my
on
God.
the 3. This boy is screaming right now. Global Esports ज़रा shy होते हुए एक बार फिर से एक पूरा सेटअप, एक पूरा रीटेक टैलेंट ने डिसरिगार्ड कर दिया।
वाओ, दिस गाय इज ऑन फायर और इसका ही सबसे ज्यादा डर है, इस प्लेयर का सबसे ज्यादा खौफ है इन वीसीटी पैसिफिक। प्रीमी जैसे डुअलिस्ट स्लैश एग्रो कंट्रोलर जो लिटरली स्पॉन में जाके मार रहे हैं, उनको अगर आप रोक नहीं पाए तो टैलेंट ई स्पोर्ट्स विल डिग देयर क्लॉज डीप इनटू योर स्किन।
बहुत फास्ट कमिटमेंट था टैलेंट की तरफ से ऑनेस्टली फ्रॉम द शैडोज इस्तेमाल करना जेट बॉयज। दैट वाज आल्सो अ गैम्बल, बट दैट गैम्बल पेड ऑफ। साइड क्लियर मिला उनको।
सो वेल।
लुक एट दिस राइट नाउ, डेरियन कॉन्फिडेंस मिला उनको, स्नैप बैक करेंगे। ही न्यू इट, प्रीमी एक्सपेक्ट कर रहे हैं अभी पुश बैक करेंगे। एंड नाउ लुक एट दिस गवर्नर, वक्त ज़ाया नहीं करते हुए क्लासिक का चलवा। ग्लोबल स्पोर्ट्स दे हैव बीन शट डाउन फिर से एक बार साइड के बाहर।
डेरियन को पर्सनली काउंटर किया गया है यहाँ पे। उनको मालूम था कि डेरियन का ऑप अवेलेबल है, हिज टू द फोर्स इज रेडी, तो वो निगेट करने के लिए प्रीमी ने अपने ही टीम के लिए एक कंट्रोल स्मोक माउंट पे डाला। एंड जैसे ही वो फर्स्ट शॉट मिस हुआ डेरियन का, उनके ऊपर टूट पड़े गवर्नर विद बोथ द सैचल्स। माय गॉड, दैट एंटायर सेट प्ले डेरियन को पर्सनली ग्रीव करने के लिए बनाया गया है।
बैकलाइन से उड़ोतान आएंगे जरूर, बट कुछ खास कर नहीं पाएंगे। वेपनरी एडवांटेज मैसिव यहाँ पे टैलेंट का। दो शेरिफ के साथ केलिए सो पापी जिंदा है जरूर, बट इंफॉर्मेशन फिर से पाई जाएगी। गवर्नर बूम बॉट को इंफॉर्मेशन मिला, बट केलियस एंड पापी दे कांट रियली डू मच राइट नाउ। अपना किल गवा बैठेंगे जरूर। एक गन ड्रॉप किया मैक्स एंड दैट इज इट। टैलेंट अभी तो रन अवे कर रहे हैं। अभी उनको भी पता है कि वी कैन जस्ट वॉक इनटू अ साइट और हमको खुला ही मिलेगा, बिकॉज ऑलमोस्ट सारी जो डिफॉल्ट सेट प्लेज है ग्लोबल स्पोर्ट्स के, दे हैव बीन आइडेंटिफाइड एंड नाउ क्रिप्स दे आर आल्सो बीइंग काउंटर्ड।
एग्जैक्टली राइट, एंड दिस इज सच अ बिग कंसर्न क्योंकि ग्लोबल स्पोर्ट्स का ट्रिपल सेंटिनल सेटअप अगर डिफेंस पे काम नहीं कर रहा तो आई डोंट नो ऑफेंस पे क्या होएगा इनका हालत। डिले, डिफेंड एंड रिपेल करने का जो प्लान था ग्लोबल स्पोर्ट्स का, वो बिल्कुल काम नहीं आ रहा क्योंकि टैलेंट ने इस हाफ के स्टार्टिंग के 5 राउंड में तो बहुत ही स्लो डिफॉल्ट खेला, लेकिन जैसे ही उन्हें पता पड़ा कि ग्लोबल स्पोर्ट्स हमारे डिफॉल्ट को समझ रही है, हमारे रीड्स उन्हें पता लग रहे हैं, तो उनने इंस्टेंटली पेस स्विच अप किया और सी पे फास्ट एग्जीक्यूट किया। और इस बार वाइस का सेटअप बिल्कुल नहीं था यहाँ पे, सिर्फ डेरियन अकेले मौजूद थे जो कि नहीं काम कर पाएंगे अकेले। लाइक लोग कितना ही कुछ करेंगे राइट। उनके ऊपर फेड के प्राउलर्स आ रहे हैं, एक रेज उनके ऊपर कूदते हुए आ रही है और उन्हें कुछ दिख भी नहीं रहा बिकॉज ऑफ प्रीमी स्मोक। 3-4 एजेंट्स की अगर यूटिलिटी डेरियन अकेले हैंडल कर रहे हैं तो वो बिल्कुल किल्स नहीं ले पाएंगे। टैक्टिकल टाइम आउट। जुवेनाइल एंड एलिवेटेड द हेड कोच एंड असिस्टेंट कोच ऑफ जीई, उन्होंने बहुत ही अच्छी तरीके से ये जो ट्रिपल सेंटिनल रोस्टर है वो कुकअप किया है, बट जितना अच्छा ये स्क्रिम्स में चल रहा था उतना अच्छा वो मैच में नहीं चल रहा।
क्या डिस्कस कर रहे होंगे अभी, आपको क्या लगता है? टैलेंट काफी चिल लग रहा है मेरे को। अगर आप ग्लोबल स्पोर्ट्स की बात करें तो कोचेस और हेड कोच साहब और असिस्टेंट कोच अभी कोशिश करेंगे जरूर अपने खिलाड़ियों में थोड़ा जज्बा डालने का। एंड ग्लोबल स्पोर्ट्स, आई नो द फाइटिंग स्पिरिट इज ऑलवेज देयर, दे ऑलवेज टॉक अबाउट चांटिंग जी विनिंग, बिकॉज अब मौका आ चुका है इस टीम को थोड़ा अपना नाम बनाने का इंटरनेशनल सर्किट में। दे आर डूइंग दैट सो वेल। एक बार फिर से रीस्टार्ट होगा ये गेम, बट दिस टाइम अराउंड टीम टैलेंट थोड़ा सा स्लो लेंगे। बी की तरफ अग्रेस करने की कोशिश की जरूर गई थी, बट डेरियन इज इन अ वेरी अग्रेसिव पोजीशन, फॉल बैक करेंगे जरूर। एंड वंस अगेन वी आर बैक टू द डिफॉल्ट्स। क्या हिट करेंगे, क्या वो सीज जाएंगे, क्या फॉल बैक करेंगे ए पे, ये सारे सवालों का जवाब जी को ढूंढ निकालना पड़ेगा और बहुत जल्द।
और ये देख लीजिए, सोनिक सेंसर प्लेस्ड बाय बैन ऑन बी, इससे पता पड़ सकता है कि जी यहाँ पे बी पे रीक्लियर करने के लिए फाइट्स नहीं ले पाएंगे। ड्रोन भेजा जाएगा जो कि डिटेक्ट कर लेगा बैन को, लेकिन बाकी प्लेयर्स की कोई यहाँ पे इंफॉर्मेशन नहीं है। एक सेटअप चेंज तो आया है जी की तरफ से, 22 का सेटअप जो सी पे लगाया जाता था अब ए पे लगाया जाएगा। मिसाइल्स गाइडेड साल्वो सेंट इन, रेजर वाइंस एक्टिवेटेड, शियर एक्टिवेटेड, और अब वो एक्टिवेट करवाने के बाद अपना प्रेजेंस ए पे दिखाने के बाद सी पे बर्स्ट इन करने की कोशिश करेंगे टैलेंट, जहाँ पे जिट बॉयज ऑलरेडी थोड़ा बहुत कंट्रोल ले चुके हैं। The nade breaks one sonic sensor, लेकिन दूसरा वाला एक्टिवेट कर दिया जाएगा। पैरानोया स्टॉप्स उडोडान फ्रॉम हेल्पिंग आउट पापी, और देखते ही देखते जो क्रॉस फायर थी पापी और उडोडान की बहुत अच्छे से तोड़ दी जाएगी। ओह माय गॉड, दिस काउंटर यूटिलिटी इज इनसेन फ्रॉम टैलेंट। जी को पूरी तरह से रीड थी, उनके सेटअप्स भी मौजूद थे यहाँ पे, लेकिन एक पैरानोया के कारण उनका क्रॉस फायर तोड़ दिया जाएगा।
मैं दिल से चाहता हूँ ग्लोबली स्पोर्ट्स ये मैप जीते, बट अगर गेम प्ले की बात करें, इट सीम्स लाइक टैलेंट बहुत वेल प्रिपेयर्ड है फिलहाल के लिए। तो हर एक मूव्स, हर एक सेट प्लेज यहाँ पे काउंटर की जा रही है, और अब अगर आप देखो तो राउंड के बीच में भी आई थिंक ग्लोबली स्पोर्ट्स उतना ज़्यादा वेल प्रिपेयर्ड नहीं है फॉर दिस मैप। उनके डिफॉल्ट जब वर्क नहीं करते, समहाउ द अदर दे रिलाई ऑन देयर गन प्ले, एंड वहाँ पे इस मैप के अंदर एटलीस्ट उड़तान का गन प्ले काम नहीं आ रहा है। It's been Darion, it's been Crystal, जिनको थोड़े बहुत फ्रैग्स मिल रहे हैं, but I still want Papi and Urutan to step up because Papi का वो अब्बेस का गेम प्ले मैं अभी भी नहीं भूल पा रहा हूँ, and इस मैप पे अभी तक तो चले नहीं क्रिप्स। Still believe that talent is walking away. थोड़ा उनको रुक के खेलना पड़ेगा, maybe play for those 5-5 retakes, play together and figure out that retake strategy. एक दो राउंड अगर इनको मिलते हैं, I believe confidence is gonna be back.
हाँ, लेकिन एक दो राउंड से तो बहुत ज़्यादा चाहिए। एक ट्रिपल सेंटिनल सेटअप अगर एक राउंड ही निकाल पाता है डिफेंसिव साइड पे, तो ये एक बहुत बड़ा रेड फ्लैग है। शायद ओवरकुक कर दिया है यहाँ पे ग्लोबल ई स्पोर्ट्स ने। दो मैसिव अल्टीमेट्स तैयार है, पापी का कॉस्मिक डिवाइड एंड केली एस का अल्टीमेट। It can take away their guns and that would be good for a retake, लेकिन इस बार देख लीजिए वापस से वाइस का सेटअप चेंज। The shear and the razor vines are back on C. प्रीमी ने एक बार फिर से कंट्रोल स्मोक डाला, एक्सपेक्ट कर रहे हैं वो डेरियन की ऑप को, लेकिन इस बार डेरियन ने ऑप अपनी ए पे पोस्ट की है। टैलेंट बहुत ज्यादा भगा रही है ग्लोबल स्पोर्ट्स को। सी कंट्रोल भी लेंगे, फिर ए पे भी जाएंगे, फिर दोनों के बीच में बैक एंड फोर्थ करते करते वो जी की सारी यूटिल बेट आउट कर देंगे until they decide to finally hit a site. एंड जो विन कंडीशन थी उनकी, जी का रीक्लियर ना करने की एबिलिटी, उसको अब्यूज किया जा रहा है यहाँ पे।
जिट बॉयज इज ऑलवेज सो प्रेजेंट, राइट? स्मोक के अंदर से यहाँ पे पिक ऑफ किया है खिलाड़ी को। केली एस कुछ ज्यादा नहीं कर पाए, डेरियन को पुश बैक किया जाएगा। सी पे हिट, बट उसके बाद इंस्टेंट ए कैप्चर करने की कोशिश, और यहाँ पे देखिए कितना ज्यादा भगाते। एटलीस्ट ग्लोबल स्पोर्ट्स के पास अभी वो आइडिया आ चुका है। क्रिस्टल की absurd पोजीशनिंग grants him 2 free kills, और आप देखिए गाइडेड साल्वो आता हुआ। उनको पता है कि एक और खिलाड़ी उनके तरफ आता हुआ ही रहेगा। It's just about the right timing. पैरानोया आएगा उनके ऊपर, प्रीमी का फोकस शॉर्टी के साथ यहाँ पे टेक डाउन किया जाएगा। प्रीमी इज जस्ट एन एब्सोल्यूट बीस्ट।
At this point, I think जुवेनाइल ने भी कह दिया है अपने प्लेयर्स को, जाओ तुम्हें खुली छूट है, एग्रो प्लेस करके दिखाओ। और वो एग्रो प्लेस के कारण क्रिस्टल ने एक कन्वेंशनली अनऑर्थोडॉक्स प्ले किया जिससे उन्हें स्पाइक मिल गया। ओ लेकिन पापी टाइमिंग की बहुत अनफॉर्चुनेट हो गई। उन्हें मालूम है उनके ऊपर एक प्लेयर चढ़ चुके हैं, रीपोजिशन नहीं कर पाएंगे। प्लांट विल गो डाउन जस्ट इन टाइम, लेकिन उदतान यहाँ पे अकेले हैं। अब वो भागेंगे, प्रीमी को उन्हें चेस डाउन करना पड़ेगा, नहीं तो उनकी अल्ट बहुत ही वेस्ट हो जाएगी। टाइम काफी है ग्लोबल ई स्पोर्ट्स के पास, तो दे कैन अफोर्ड टू वेट आउट द अल्ट ऑफ प्रीमी, और उसके पास बचेंगे सिर्फ जिट बॉयज। चेस डाउन किया जा रहा है, लेकिन प्रीमी मारे जाएंगे। एंड नाउ दैट्स द क्यू फॉर ग्लोबल ई स्पोर्ट्स टू गो इन टुगेदर। जिट बॉयज की पोजीशन अब तक क्लियर नहीं हुई है, फेस चेक करना पड़ेगा उन्हें दोनों को। कंट्रोल स्मोक दे दिए जाएंगे उनको, और फिर भी डबल पीक आ जाएगा ग्लोबल ई स्पोर्ट्स की तरफ से। एक मच नीडेड सेकंड राउंड।
आई बिलीव क्रिप्स, मैं तो डिसएग्री करना चाहूंगा। मुझे लगता है कि ग्लोबल ई स्पोर्ट्स अटैक पे बहुत अच्छा खेल पाएंगे, बिकॉज
अगर वो साइड पे पहुंचे तो
यस, नो मैटर व्हाट, आई बिलीव, मेरे को भरोसा है इन जाबाज खिलाड़ियों पे। ऑनेस्टली आई एम मेकिंग इट साउंड मोर ड्रामेटिक, बट I believe they know the stakes right now. उनको पता है कि अगर ये मैच जीतते तो कहाँ पहुँचेंगे. And look at the setup, right? Crystal definitely take down हुए थे प्रीमी की तरफ. Talent still had the upper edge in this round itself, but Global Esports, they're not giving up, right? At every step of the way they know कि हाँ ठीक है, अगर ult भी आए प्रीमी का, just walk it out. They're being so composed, they're being so stable, and यही चाहिए आपको. You want that mental stability.
Oh. Setup changing by फिर से Darion hopping from top. लेकिन कोई अर्ली किल नहीं मिलेगा. बैरियर में शॉट डिप्लॉय कर दिया गया है तो थोड़ा बहुत स्प्लिट हो जाएंगे टैलेंट ई-स्पोर्ट्स, लेकिन एक बार फिर से यहाँ पे प्रीमी लर्क करेंगे टुवर्ड्स बी. स्मोक्स तो वो ऑब्वियसली दे ही सकते हैं. क्रिस्टल ने रीक्लियर करने के लिए 4 प्लेयर्स को यहाँ पे डिटेक्ट कर लिया है. दैट्स ऑल द इंफॉर्मेशन जीई नीडेड. लेकिन जैसे ही उनको ए पे इंफॉर्मेशन मिली, देख लीजिए किस तरह से टैलेंट वापस जा रही है. क्रूज ने एक प्राउलर फेंका सी की तरफ जस्ट टू होपफुली बेट आउट ग्लोबल ई-स्पोर्ट्स का मोर यूटिल या फिर मेक देम ओवर रोटेट. ऐसा कुछ नहीं होएगा. प्रीमी को पापी ने स्पॉट कर लिया है और पापी ने बेट सेटअप किया है यहाँ पे क्रिस्टल के लिए. विल प्रीमी बाइट द बेट? नो, ही जस्ट फॉल्स बैक.
Talent expect कर लेते. उनकी इंस्टिंक्ट गेम आई थिंक आज बहुत ज्यादा काम आ रही है क्रिप्स. बट सी पे उनको पता है दे गोना फेस द वॉल. फाइस का जो वॉल है आई थिंक दैट इज देयर ओनली फॉर्म ऑफ डिफेंस ग्लोबल ई-स्पोर्ट्स के लिए. बट दे आर आल्सो रीइंफोर्सिंग इट. पापी यहाँ पे रीइंफोर्स करेंगे. एनाइलेशन आते हुए डिड इट कैच इट? यस इट डिड.
ओह नो. और केली के पास तो उनकी अल्टीमेट भी थी जो वो यूज नहीं कर पाएंगे. Oh, Papi tries to save him, but he will also die. Udadon with the double. That granite is gonna be huge. Dumps down Jit boys, and that's the 4th. Almost set up. Gap in the vice wall, which he cannot exploit. Ban ने finally जाके उनकी killing streak को रोका है.
Spike planted.
2 मिनट के लिए मुझे लगा शायद उड़ता ने पूरा राउंड कन्वर्ट कर दिया, बट अभी भी मुमकिन है. 2v2 का गेम. क्रिस्टल finds ban. Global Esports, they are fighting, they are winning these rounds. 1v2 है. गाइडेड सैल्वो आता है और डेरॉन की पोजीशनिंग आप देखिए. He probably knows this position. What a shot that has been connected. काफी आसानी से यहाँ पे डिफ्यूज मिलेगा जरूर. एंड ग्लोबल ई-स्पोर्ट्स the way they are fighting back. I'm loving this scripts. ये मजा आ रहा है ये गेम देखने में.
क्रिस्टल को डिफ्यूज दे दिया. अब वो अपने आर्मागेडन से सिर्फ 1 पॉइंट दूर है. ओह माय गॉड, द हीरो परफॉर्मेंसेस फ्रॉम ग्लोबल ई-स्पोर्ट्स अब उन्हें बचा रहे हैं. उड़तान की तरफ से ट्रिपल. काफी गंदा गेम जा रहा था उनके लिए, लेकिन देखते ही देखते एक ऑलमोस्ट कोलैटरल परफेक्ट ग्रैबनेट, लाइक फेस पे ग्रैबनेट डाला उनके.
एंड ऑनेस्टली as soon as Papi and Kelly has failed, मेरे को लगा नहीं था कि शायद ये राउंड में कम बैक कर पाएंगे. बट उड़तान की पोजीशनिंग, उनकी टाइमिंग बहुत खूबसूरत थी. एंड ऑफ कोर्स आप देखिए एंड तक अपने ओपोनेंट्स के हेड्स को वो एम कर रहे हैं बहुत ब्यूटीफुली. वी टॉक अबाउट इट, डेरियन हैज बीन एन एब्सोल्यूट बैंगर ऑफ एन एमर आज. बट अब टैलेंट शायद कुछ खास करने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं. ए साइड पे बहुत कम हमने इतना ज्यादा यूटिलिटी यूसेज देखा इनकी तरफ से.
शो स्टॉपर काफी जल्दी डाल दिया गवर्नर ने. आई थिंक ही वाज एक्सपेक्टिंग अ मच अर्लियर पीक फ्रॉम क्रिस्टल. लेकिन ये बी लिंक का जो पोजीशन जो उन्होंने पकड़ा है वो पूरे हाफ में सिर्फ एक बार एस्टैब्लिश किया है यहाँ पे टैलेंट ने. क्या यहाँ पे क्रिस्टल को एग्रेसिव पकड़ पाएंगे? जी नहीं. ही इज वेरी ऑफ ऑल सरप्राइजेस दैट टैलेंट कैन थ्रो एट हिम. डोर ओपन करवा के अपने ओमन को अंदर भेजेंगे, लेकिन उदुतान ने बैन को मार गिराया. डेरियन कंप्लीटली अवेयर ऑफ जिट बॉयज टाइमिंग. देखते ही देखते ग्लोबल ई-स्पोर्ट्स भी बहुत पैसिवली खेल रही है एंड समहाउ इट इज वर्किंग फॉर देम. This is how a triple sentinel setup should be played. 3 ultimates available है. पिछले बार कैलियस को अगर वो अल्टीमेट यूज करने मिल जाती तो बहुत ही ज्यादा गेम चेंजिंग राउंड हो रहा था वो, लेकिन उनको ऑलरेडी किडनैप कर दिया गया था. इस बार कैलियस काफी पीछे खेल रहे हैं. Link behind Udatan himself. Crystal with the off angle goes for the spray and he connects on them both. That's what you expect from the Russian giant.
Last round in
Absolutely. टैलेंट के पास 7 राउंड है जरूर, बट आई स्टिल फील कि अगर यही 7-5 का स्कोर लाइन लेके हाफ पे चलते ग्लोबल ई-स्पोर्ट्स मौका जरूर बनेगा. एंड यू सी हाउ ब्यूटीफुल क्रिस्टल हैज बीन. वो बी साइड की तरफ उनके जो यूटिलिटी यूसेज है, उनका जो गन प्ले है हैज बीन शाइनिंग ब्राइट. इंडिविजुअल प्लेज में शाइन करे ग्लोबल ई-स्पोर्ट्स. एंड ऑफ कोर्स पैशन. अब तो देखो इंडियन फैंस में एक तो बड़ी बात है क्रिप्स की पैशनेट बहुत ज्यादा होते हैं अपनी टीम के लिए. And currently, Global Esports, I believe they are responding to that passion.
ओ नहीं, इस बार जानबूझ के पापी ने वो स्मोक के अंदर एंट्री कर ली so that he can discourage the ult cancel. Darion, ये एग्रो पोजिशनिंग उन्हें बहुत कम पकड़ी है. जब भी वो एग्रो जाते हैं यूजुअली रबल से खेलते हैं, ऐसा ओपन में तो पोजी उन्होंने बिल्कुल नहीं पकड़ी थी पहले भी, और इस बार भी देख लीजिए कैसे 1 एंड 1 एंगल पे खेल रहे हैं। टेलीपोर्ट नहीं है उनके पास, रॉन्डेवू नहीं, शियर का पोजीशन भी देख लीजिए किस तरह से चेंज कर दिया गया है। वाइस की वॉल इस बार ए मेन के एंट्रेंस पे लगाई गई है। से रीक्लियर
नहीं, साइड की तरफ यू हैव द स्पाइक ऑलरेडी। टैलेंट कोशिश तो कर रहे हैं कि बार-बार वही एक्सप्लॉइट करे, बट डेरॉन के शॉट फिर से डिस्करेज करेगा जेट बॉयज को। क्या प्यारा कनेक्शन मिला उनको। मैन एडवांटेज बहुत बड़ी ग्लोबल स्पोर्ट्स के पास, और आप देखिए स्पॉइल फॉर ऑप्शंस, ज्यादा ऑप्शन है नहीं टैलेंट के पास। सी साइड पे जा सकते हैं, बट देयर इज उरुतान ऑलरेडी। उनको पता है कि हमेशा उनके ग्रैबने से दिक्कत होती है। यहाँ पे देखिए सोनिक सेंसर मिल चुका है, इंफॉर्मेशन क्रिस्टल पनिश करेंगे।
ओ टाइमिंग, गाइडेंस एल्बो खोलने के लिए रहे थे वो, एंड ही एक्टिवेट्स द अल्ट। प्रीमी के पास जो शॉटी है उससे किल निकालना ही पड़ेगा उन्हें, एक मिल जाएगा। ही इज क्रिएटेड एन ओपनिंग फॉर हिमसेल्फ। वैंडल अवेलेबल अगेन, लीड करने के लिए आ रहे हैं उनकी तरफ उरुतान, एंड पापी ने वो राउंड संभाल लिया। काफी टाइम से ये दोनों अल्टीमेट्स अवेलेबल थी। कैली तो 3 राउंड, मे बी इवन 4 राउंड तक अपना वाइस अल्ट जो स्टील गार्डन है वो अपने पॉकेट में रख के बैठे थे। ओह व्हाट अ शॉट।
दिल की धड़कनें ग्रिप्स, दिल की धड़कनें जो तेज हो रही है फिलहाल मेरी हो रही है। आई एम प्रीटी श्योर पूरे भारत में जो लोग ये गेम देख रहे हैं सबकी हो रही होगी, बिकॉज़ एवरीबॉडी वांट्स ग्लोबल ई-स्पोर्ट्स टू विन। बट अभी जज्बातों को काबू में रखना पड़ेगा। एग्जैक्टली राइट। 7-5 का स्कोर लाइन देनो, ये गेम कभी भी स्लिप आउट हो सकता है। पिस्टल जॉइंट्स अब बोलते थे ना 2023 से 2024 में, वो गेम प्ले वापस लाना पड़ेगा, पिस्टल राउंड जीतना पड़ेगा।
विन कंडीशन टैलेंट ने बहुत अच्छे से आइडेंटिफाई की थी फर्स्ट हाफ में। 190 फैंस इन दिस थिएटर बाय द वे, इन चंद सिनेमाज न्यू दिल्ली। सब के सब बहुत ही उतावले हो रहे हैं। फर्स्ट हाफ में एक ही वीकनेस थी ग्लोबल ई-स्पोर्ट्स के पास, लैक ऑफ रीक्लियरिंग। सिर्फ एक ड्रोन है तेहो का जिसके साथ ग्लोबल ई-स्पोर्ट्स रीक्लियर कर सकती है, एंड टैलेंट को वो पता है। बिकॉज ऑफ दैट वो बहुत ज्यादा डिफॉल्ट कर रहे हैं, बहुत ज्यादा पैसिवली होल्ड कर करके जी की यूटिलिटी बेट आउट करवा रहे थे। जैसे ही जी को पता पड़ा यही प्लान चल रहा है, उनने अपनी अप्रोच चेंज कर दी, बहुत ज्यादा पैसिवली खेलने लगे। स्टार्टिंग में जो वो माइक्रोवेव सेटअप डाल रहे थे ए मेन पे, वो उन्हें डालना बंद कर दिया। सी पे जो कंट्रोल स्मोक्स डालते थे प्रीमी डिनाई करने के लिए डेरियन की ऑप को, वो भी काफी यूजलेस हो गया, बिकॉज डेरियन भी अपनी ऑप बहुत पैसिव एंगल्स पे लगाने लगे। बेसिकली ग्लोबल ई-स्पोर्ट्स एक ट्रिपल सेंटिनल का जो सबसे बड़ा एडवांटेज है उसको अच्छे से इस्तेमाल करने लगे। इस बार भी उनको अटैक में काफी ज्यादा दिक्कतें हो सकती है। ऑब्वियसली इनिशिएट करने के लिए उनके पास ज्यादा कुछ है नहीं। कैलियस का एक फ्लैश रहेगा, क्रिस्टल का गाइडेंस है, बस उतना ही। यहाँ पे जी को अगर प्लांट मिल जाता है लेकिन, तो एक बहुत बड़ी एडवांटेज उनको मिल सकती है, बिकॉज ट्रिपल सेंटिनल इन अ पोस्ट प्लांट काफी अच्छे से काम आ सकता है। बहुत ज्यादा यूटिल रहेगी उनके पास टाइम बर्न करने के लिए। हाँ, लेकिन उसके लिए पहले प्लांट आना जरूरी है, वही अगर नहीं आया तो ट्रिपल सेंटिनल का कोई फायदा नहीं है।
इसका मतलब टैलेंट का विन कंडीशन सेट है, प्लांट रोको,
जी हाँ,
राउंड जीतो। बट अगर आप ग्लोबल ई-स्पोर्ट्स की बात करो, आई बिलीव उरुतान विल बी दैट गेम चेंजर। नॉट श्योर, मैं प्योरली इंस्टिंक्ट पे जाऊंगा, बट लेट्स फाइंड आउट कि क्या रणनीति रहती है यहाँ पे ग्लोबल ई-स्पोर्ट्स की तरफ। शुरुआती फेज में बैरियर मैश डाला गया जरूर, और ये क्लासिक से इस बैरियर मैश को तोड़ना, इट्स अ बिग टास्क इन हैंड। ट्री की तरफ फॉल बैक कर सकते जरूर, but talent know it. They know about what global esports are cooking. Drone से information मिलेगा, global esports push back करेंगे, and now it's time for the flush. यहाँ पे शायद गन गेम का इस्तेमाल करना पड़ेगा, but that does not pan out well. बहुत प्यारा mesh, but 1-2 का इस्तेमाल। Kelly's does get that one back. It's a 1-1 jab, Crips. 4-4 का मुकाबला होने वाला है, and we are in for a bloodbath.
जो सबसे बड़ा डेंजर है उस सिचुएशन में, डेरियन एंड उरुतान, ये दोनों सेंटेंस को मार गिराया गया है। कैलियस का फ्लैश अभी भी मौजूद है, लेकिन उन्होंने जस्ट इस्तेमाल किया उसे। नो किल्स ऑन द बैक ऑफ इट। ही ट्राइज टू गो अहेड ऑफ द स्मोक, लेकिन उनको पूरी तरह से डिनाई कर दिया गया है। जिट बॉयज एंड प्रीवी दोनों के स्मोक्स जो है उसके कारण काफी सारे एंगल्स कट ऑफ किए जा सकते हैं, लेकिन क्रिस्टल अभी भी स्मोक के अंदर हाइड कर रहे हैं, उनको चेक नहीं किया है। They're trying to get out of it. He tries to reposition. वो लॉन्ग गेम खेलने में बहुत ज्यादा कामयाब रहे हैं, and that's the advantage of a double controller setup. आप साइट लाइंस कट करके पूरी की पूरी क्रॉस फायर्स नाकामयाब कर सकते हो।
Obviously, Crips, हमें आपको इस गेम के बारे में ज़्यादा पता होगा, but I feel like global esports right now they are spoiled between कि अगर मेरे को एंट्री करनी है मैं अपनी यूटिलिटी बचाऊं कैसे, अगर मैं टेक डाउन हो जाता हूं तो पोस्ट प्लान सिचुएशन में मेरी यूटिलिटी बचेगी नहीं। एंड आई बिलीव दैट इज वन ऑफ द रीजन व्हाई उड़तान हेजिटेट कर रहे पुश अप करने के लिए। कौन जाके पहले वो एडवांटेज लेंगे, मैन एडवांटेज। आई बिलीव दैट हैज बीन अ मेन प्रॉब्लम। पिस्टल राउंड गवाते हुए ग्लोबली स्पोर्ट्स अभी तो इकोनॉमी बहुत भारी तरीके से उनके अगेंस्ट। ये राउंड निकालना बहुत ज्यादा कीमती रह सकता है, बट पैरानॉय के साथ जिन बॉयज काफी ज्यादा डैमेज कर सकते हैं। पहला आउटलॉ शॉट होता हुआ नेड्स का बरसात गवर्नर पुश आउट करेंगे। टैलेंट काफी आसानी से इस पूरे पुश को निस्ताबूद करते हुए।
व्हाट अ ट्रैप सेटअप। प्रीमी के आउटलॉ पे कांटेक्ट था, जैसे ही उनको कोई स्पॉट होएगा जिन बॉयज का पैरानॉया जो 3 प्लेयर्स को हिट कर जाएगा। And उसके बाद तो it was an easy clean up. That's a flawless anti-eco round by Talon Esports.
बट अब क्या कंटिजेंसी प्लान रहेगी क्रिप्स, बिकॉज अब आपको पता है कि 4 राउंड्स का फर्क हो चुका है। दिस राउंड इज गोना बी वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट बिकॉज आपके पास पहला फुल बाय आने वाला है। इस लीड को जितना ज़्यादा कम करेंगे शायद अपने जज्बातों पे उतना ज़्यादा काबू रख सकते हैं ग्लोबल ई-स्पोर्ट्स। उनको भी पता है कि कितने सारे फैंस घर बैठे उनको सपोर्ट कर रहे हैं आज। दे परफॉर्मिंग ऑन स्टेज। इट्स गोना बी वेरी टफ बिकॉज जिस हिसाब से टैलेंट ने सेटअप करके रखा है, इट्स ऑलमोस्ट लाइक अ डेथ ट्रैप फॉर देम एवरी सिंगल टाइम।
Yeah, which is weird, right? One would expect कि nice shot by Darion. One would expect कि एक ट्रिपल सेंटिनल वाला सेटअप जो है वो ज़्यादा ट्रैप्स कर सकता है, लेकिन यहाँ पे ट्रैप प्लेस तो टैलेंट ने सेट किए हैं। डेरियन एक बार फिर से पुश एक्सपेक्ट करते हुए रबल कंट्रोल जरूर दे देंगे उनको, लेकिन अब ये 4v5 एडवांटेज के कारण टैलेंट को अपना डिफेंस बहुत ज्यादा स्प्रेड करना पड़ेगा। क्रूज खड़े आउटलॉ के साथ ए गार्ड करते हुए, जबकि बाकी 2 प्लेयर्स भी रीइंफोर्स कर चुके हैं। सी पे एक फेक स्मोक आएगा जिट बॉयज का जस्ट टू स्टॉप देम फ्रॉम पुशिंग आउट, लेकिन यहाँ पे एक ट्रिपल पीक। क्रूज ने कहा जल्दी आइए, बैकअप की यहाँ पे जरूरत है। नाइस शॉट्स एंड व्हाट अ फॉलो अप। केलीएस को यहाँ पे बिल्कुल मरना नहीं चाहिए था। 3v3 सिचुएशन, काफी अच्छा प्रदर्शन दिखाया यहाँ पे क्रूज ने, जितना वो कर सकते थे अकेले उस सिचुएशन में उन्हें करके दिखाया। एंड दिस री-क्लियर, माय गॉड, पापी गॉट अ जंप स्केयर बाय गेटिंग डबल पीक।
बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट था पापी का पोजीशन, बहुत ज्यादा इंपॉर्टेंट था। साइड क्लियर हो चुकी थी, अगर वहां पे डबल पिक मिल जाता तो शायद पूरा राउंड निकल सकता था ग्लोबल ई-स्पोर्ट्स के लिए। बाई राउंड था, पर यहाँ पे भी टैलेंट बाजी मारते हुए प्रीमी का फिनिश मिलेगा उनको जरूर। बरूर उतान क्या यहाँ पे एक अनबिलीवेबल करके दिखा सकते हैं। He's made for it, he's built for it, but इस बार करना पड़ेगा। पैरानॉय को डॉज करेंगे जरूर। He needs to push out of the smoke right now. उनको पता है कि डिफ्यूज हो रहा है और उड़तान finds one बॉक्स के थ्रू से शॉट्स कनेक्ट होंगे नहीं। ग्लोबल ई-स्पोर्ट्स एक और राउंड मिस आउट करते हुए उड़तान में सो क्लोज, बट टैलेंट का कंपोजर फिर से उनको फायदेमंद साबित होता हुआ।
And so many of these individual gunfights जो टैलेंट को बिल्कुल नहीं जीतने चाहिए थे वो जीत रहे हैं। जी इज गिविंग अवे। चलो ये आउटलॉ फर्स्ट पिक निकाल लिया, कोई बात नहीं, लेकिन उसके बाद केलीएस एम पे फॉलो अप नहीं कर पाए, घोस्ट से मारे गए। इवन पापी रोटेशंस काटने के लिए बी पे उनने अपने आप को पोजीशन किया था, क्योंकि उन्हें मालूम है कि वहां से एक शॉर्टकट है जहां से काफी फास्ट रोटेशन आएगा टैलेंट का। वो रोकने के लिए पापी वहां पे गए थे, लेकिन कुछ फायदा नहीं हुआ उसका। प्लांट मिल गया क्रिस्टल को, लेकिन उसके बाद अपनी लाइफ गवा दी, जिसके कारण उड़तान एक ऐसी सिचुएशन में फंस गए जहां पे स्पाइक वाज नॉट इवन प्लांटेड फॉर हिम। एंड लुक एट व्हाट इज दिस, व्हाई इज ही गोइंग अहेड ऑफ द स्मोक लाइक दिस। ये एक डेस्परेट सिचुएशन था जी के लिए, जो उनके चेहरे पे अभी दिख रहा है। द लैक ऑफ कंपोजर क्लियरली पैल्पेबल।
डेस्परेट टाइम्स, डेस्परेट मेजर्स क्रिप्स। उनको पता था कि वो उनको एंट्री मिलने वाली है, एंड they knew it कि they needed that plant somehow or the other। वो प्लांट उनको चाहिए था, प्लांट के बाद पोस्ट प्लांट पोजीशंस पे जाना चाहिए था, बट क्लियर आउट नहीं कर पाए वो एंगल्स। एंड ऑफ कोर्स लैक ऑफ यूटिलिटी यहाँ पे बहुत खूबसूरत तरीके से दर्शाते हुए टैलेंट, जो गैप से उनके गेम प्ले में, जो गैप से उनके कॉम्प में, they're exploiting that right now। 2 खिलाड़ी अभी बी के बाहर खड़े हुए हैं जरूर, बट जितना भी स्मोक ऑफ कर लो, ये एंगल क्लियर आउट करना बहुत ज्यादा मुश्किल। एंड आई बिलीव प्रीमी इज इन द राइट पोजीशन।
राइट पोजीशन एंड एट द राइट ऑफ एंगल। डबल पीक आया तो भी प्रीमी दोनों को मार गिरा सकते हैं, बिकॉज सामने वालों के पास इतनी वेपनरी नहीं है। लेकिन डेरियन की जो पोजीशन है वो एक गेम चेंजर हो सकती है।
30 seconds left.
उनने ए साइड पे तो पूरा कब्जा कर लिया है, लेकिन स्पाइक को ए पे ले जाना प्रॉब्लमेटिक हो सकता है। ओ गवर्नर, वाओ, That was unexpected. मेरे को सच में लगा कि डेरियन वो 2 शॉट्स मिस करने के बाद अपनी जान वहाँ पे गवा देंगे. प्रीमी होने आ रहे हैं रीक्लियर करने के लिए और प्रीमी ने ए साइड वापस क्लियर कर दिया है. एंड बिकॉज ऑफ दिस एक गैप मिल गया है जीई को बी के प्लांट करने के लिए. गैप उन्होंने अच्छे से एक्सप्लॉइट की. प्रीमी विद द नाइस शॉट एंड द पैरानोया इज परफेक्ट. That's all you can expect from this eco, honestly. Plant मिल गया, 3 kills मिल गए. It's a good eco for global esports, लेकिन it's a little too late.
घाव पे नमक छिड़कना शायद इसी को कहते हैं शायद ग्रिप्स. टैलेंट जिस हिसाब से अभी वार कर. You saw that timing on Papi as well, right? मौका था उनके पास वो खिलाड़ी को पहले टेक डाउन करने का, but he chose to fall back. एंड मैं हमेशा कॉन्फिडेंस की बात करता हूँ. I feel like जितना ज़्यादा यूटिलिटी और एम का ये खेल है, I also believe it's a test of mentality. And right now, global esports उनके पास कुछ खास नहीं है कर दिखाने के लिए. I still feel एक टाइम आउट के साथ चीजें बदल सकती है. 5-11 का स्कोर लाइन. यहाँ से हमने कमबैक्स होते हुए देखा है जरूर. टैलेंट नहीं यहाँ पे टाइम आउट है. This is interesting.
I really thought कि यहाँ पे जी को टाइम आउट लेना चाहिए, लेकिन टैलेंट यहाँ पे टाइम आउट ले रही है. It's good for G as well. They get to adjust a little. लेकिन एक ट्रिपल सेंटिनल जो अटैक पे है उसको राउंड डाउन करने के लिए अगर टैलेंट कोई एग्रो स्टैट कुकअप कर ले तो यहाँ पे सच में गेम ओवर हो सकता है.
अब गेम ओवर की बात कर रहे हो, मुझे तो लगता है कि ग्लोबल ई-स्पोर्ट्स अगर 3 राउंड खाते में आ जाए और इकोनॉमी उनके फेवर में आ जाए तो शायद टैलेंट के लिए
कमबैक भी हो सकता है.
कमबैक हो सकता है. एंड दैट इज व्हाट आई एम वेटिंग फॉर.
और जैसा कि हमने कहा है, एक पोस्ट प्लान सिचुएशन में अगर एक 5v5 या फिर 4v4 सिचुएशन में जी आ जाए तो वो जीत सकते हैं, लेकिन वो बात है टैलेंट उन्हें पहुंचने ही नहीं दे रही वहां पे.
आउटप्ले करना पड़ेगा पोजीशन के साथ, अपने ऑफ एंगल्स के साथ. डेरियन कोशिश कर रहे हैं, वो फर्स्ट पिक्स निकाल रहे हैं हर बार. उड़ोतान हैज बीन फैबुलस एज वेल, बट आप देखिए वो केडी रेशियो दर्शाता नहीं है उनकी काबिलियत. इससे बहुत ज्यादा कर दिखा सकते हैं. मैं आपने कहा था प्रीमी ऑन दैट क्लोव इज एब्सोल्युटली इनसेन. 21-7 का स्कोर लाइन चल रहा है फिलहाल उनके लिए. और आप देखिए ग्लोबल ई-स्पोर्ट्स कितना ज्यादा पैसिवली वो पोजीशन पे वेट कर रहे थे. पापी शाइन्स ब्राइट 2 खिलाड़ियों के यहाँ पे टेक डाउन करेंगे एंड ऑफ कोर्स वांट्स टू मूव आउट एज वेल.
What? Okay, that was unexpected. Primi is an absolute monster. 21-7 के होने के बावजूद वो पापी से अपनी जान गवा बैठेंगे और वो भी to a double kill. That's the little ray of sunshine that G needed. Papi stepping up once again, just farming his ult again. 3 major ultimates, 4 major ultimates actually G के पास available है, जिसके कारण वो comeback कर सकते हैं. उदतान का annihilation, केली का steel garden, डेरियन का tour de force.
Wow. Papi gets taken down, but 1v4 कैसे लाइन अप होता हुआ. बैन ऑफ कोर्स उनको मूव आउट करना पड़ेगा. 2 खिलाड़ी को स्पॉट आउट करे थे ऑफ कोर्स ग्लोबल ई-स्पोर्ट्स बहुत बढ़िया 1-2 करते हुए. यही पापी का तो इंतजार कर रहे थे हम. द कंपोजर ऑन टुवर्ड्स मिड और जिस हिसाब से वो मिड रोटेशंस काट रहे थे, आई थिंक ग्लोबल ई-स्पोर्ट्स नीड दैट. उनको पता है कि टैलेंट अग्रेसिवली पुश आउट करेंगे ट्रिपल सेंटिनल को काउंटर करने के लिए. दे विल ट्राई एंड गेट जितना ज्यादा हो सके उतना ज्यादा मैप कंट्रोल. और अगर पापी मिड पे बैठ के ये कमाल करके जा सकते हैं, आई थिंक ग्लोबल ई-स्पोर्ट्स ये मैप पे लेके जा सकते हैं अपने साथ अपने घर. बट अभी भी बहुत दूर है वो सपना. 11 का स्कोर लाइन, 5 राउंड बैक टू बैक अभी चाहिए ग्लोबल ई-स्पोर्ट्स को. इट्स गोना बी अ डिफिकल्ट टास्क.
स्टैंडर्ड फनाटिक वाला स्पैम विद द ओडिन, कोई नहीं पकड़ा जाएगा इसमें. वो टैक्टिकल टाइम आउट के बाद जी को भी मालूम था कि टैलेंट कहीं ना कहीं पे एग्रो पुश करेगी. अगर ए पे एग्रो पुश नहीं आया तो सी पे डेफिनेटली आ जाएगा. वो पापी ने एक्सपेक्ट किया, लेकिन इस बार टैलेंट इज बैक टू द डिफॉल्ट्स. पैसिवली होल्ड करेंगे. डेरियन अटैक ऑप, ही इज गोना बी अप अगेंस्ट गवर्नर विद द गार्डियन. एक क्रॉसफायर था, लेकिन ये वाइस अल्ट काफी ज्यादा काम किया सकती है और अब जी को किल्स निकालने ही पड़ेंगे. बट दे आर लूजिंग केली एस एंड दे फॉल बैक. दे अवॉइड ऑल द फाइट्स. जी का जो पावर स्पाइक था बिल्कुल कैपिटलाइज नहीं किया उन्होंने उस पे.
क्या इनसेन चीजें कि डेरियन अभी सर्वाइव कर रहे हैं इन स्पाइट ऑफ द फैक्ट कि जिट बॉयज जस्ट उनके बाजू में. फाइनली वो ट्रैप सेटअप करते हुए स्पॉट आउट करेंगे. उनको पता है कि एग्जैक्टली उस एंगल से पिक आउट नहीं होंगे, बट अनाइलेशन उनको लगता हुआ. ग्लोबल ई-स्पोर्ट्स क्या वो काउंटर कर पाएंगे इस अटैक को? जी नहीं. डेरियन का 1-2. ही फाइनली स्विचेस टू हिज रिवॉल्वर, गेट्स वन मोर. जेट बॉयज और बैंड कोशिश तो कर रहे हैं. पापी स्टेप्स अप. 2v1 का सिचुएशन और उनको पता है कि क्या स्टेक्स पे है. स्मोक से पीक आउट करेंगे जरूर, बट ये ओडिन क्रूज शायद अपने साथ ये पिक निकाल के जा सकते हैं। पापी नीड्स टू मैन्यूवर वेरी वेरी क्लोजली,
और वो स्पेस दे रहे हैं पापी को। उन्हें मालूम है कि एक 2v1 सिचुएशन में पापी सिर्फ प्लांट नहीं करेंगे, वो शायद एक पिक लेने के लिए भी आ सकते हैं, लेकिन पापी पुल्स वन इवन बेटर। ही जस्ट रेसेस टू द सी साइड
10 seconds
एंड
left.
जिट बॉयज वो रेस जीतने के लिए अपना फ्रॉम द शैडोज कमिट करेंगे। हॉल वाला प्लांट दिया है उन्हें ताकि वो वाटरफॉल से प्रोटेक्टेड रहे। ही ट्राइज टू गो इन, स्पैम की पोजीशन मालूम है उन्हें, थोड़ा बहुत वॉल बैंक डैमेज लिया, लेकिन ही विंस द 1v1 अगेंस्ट क्रूज एंड इट्स नाउ जस्ट हिम एंड जिट बॉयज। मालूम है कि टेलीपोर्ट जो है वो माउंट पे आया है, लेकिन क्या टाइमिंग के कारण जिट बॉयज उनके थ्रू निकल पाएंगे? वो स्मोक के कारण पापी able to see on top and he maneuvers around them so well.
पापी शू, where were you so far? कहाँ थे आप? स्वागत है आपका VCT पैसिफिक में। देवी और सजन, एंड सीम्स लाइक टैलेंट अभी थोड़ा सा धराशायी होते हुए। स्ट्रैटेजी में बदलाव आपने देखा क्रिप्स, कितना ज्यादा वक्त दे रहे थे ग्लोबल स्पोर्ट्स को मूव आउट करने के लिए। उनको लगा कि शायद हेजिटेट करेंगे अपने अटैक्स पे, हेजिटेट करेंगे अपने पुशेस पे, बट ग्लोबल स्पोर्ट्स उनको पता था कि एग्जैक्टली करना क्या है। रणनीति बदली नहीं, फोकस कर रहे हैं अभी भी अपने 1-2 प्लेस पे, एंड ऑफ कोर्स पापी जिस हिसाब से स्टेप अप कर रहे हैं, देयर माइट बी अ स्लाइट अपॉर्चुनिटी जिसके ऊपर बैंक करके ग्लोबल स्पोर्ट्स गेट दिस राउंड बैक, बट दिस इज गोना बी अ क्लोज कॉन्टेस्ट। उड़ोतान वर्सेस जेट बॉयज, एक ग्रैवनेट
के साथ
या इट्स गोना बी डिफिकल्ट राइट। वो स्प्रेड भी बहुत मैसिव होता है।
नहीं, अगर आपने ग्रैवनेट डाल भी दिया तो भी फायदा नहीं होएगा, बिकॉज लाइक बकी कैन स्टिल किल यू एट दैट रेंज। अवॉइड किया जाएगा उनको। ग्लोबल स्पोर्ट्स भी काफी पैसिव डिफॉल्ट पे, उन्हें मालूम है कि टैलेंट का एक इको राउंड है, दे डोंट वांट टू वॉक इनटू अ स्टैक, इसलिए सारे के सारे ट्रैप्स अवॉइड करने के लिए जी भी काफी स्लो डिफॉल्ट कर रही है। हो सकता है शायद वो काउंटर क्या बोल रहा, कॉन्टैक्ट प्ले भी कर दे कॉन्टैक्ट प्ले के लिए, लेकिन साइलेंस की जरूरत है, और अब तो साइलेंस रहा नहीं बिकॉज प्राउलर ने डिटेक्ट कर लिया है। यही रिक्लियर करने की एबिलिटी जो टैलेंट के पास है, ऑल दीस प्राउलर्स एंड ऑल दीस हॉन्ट्स, दीस आर गोना बी गेम चेंजर्स। पूरे सेट को कार्पेट बॉम्ब कर दिया गया, बैक साइड पे गाइडेड सैल्वो, ऊपर स्मोक। फिलहाल के लिए तो ए साइड पे काफी अच्छे से कब्जा किया है इनने, एंड जिट बॉयज को भी पीछे बैक स्टैब डिनाई कर दिया गया।
लव द फैक्ट कि अपने बैक गेट्स क्लियर कर रहे हैं पापी। अगर आप मैप पे गौर फरमाएगा तो फिर you'll notice him fixated on that spot। टैलेंट के पास ज़्यादा ऑप्शंस बचे नहीं है फिलहाल। उनको पता है कि they don't have that weaponry advantage, जाके अपने kills गंवाना नहीं चाहते बिकॉज और ज़्यादा अल्टीमेट पॉइंट्स मिलने वाले ग्लोबल स्पोर्ट्स को। ये राउंड ऑटोमेटिकली उनके हाथ में था ऑलरेडी, बट ज़्यादा इंपॉर्टेंट क्या था, अपने गन्स नहीं गंवाने थे, और ग्लोबल स्पोर्ट्स ने वही करके दिखाया। एंड फिलहाल के लिए मुझे लगता भी नहीं टैलेंट कंप्लीट करेंगे इस राउंड में।
आखिर में जाएंगे वो। डेरियन भी अपना आउटलॉक गिव अप करते हुए, कोई बात नहीं, अगले राउंड प्रॉब्ली उन्हें ऑप पे अपग्रेड करना है।
My ultimate's not ready.
और टैलेंट को भी मालूम है कि पिछले राउंड में जी ने 2 बड़े अल्टीमेट्स इस्तेमाल कर दिए थे, कैलियस का स्टील गार्डन एंड उदतान का जो एनाहिलेशन है वो इस्तेमाल करके जी ने 7वां राउंड जीता, एंड दे डोंट वांट टू गिव देम एनी मोर अल्ट पॉइंट्स। एक और राउंड दे देंगे चलेगा, लेकिन अल्ट इकोनॉमी उन्हें मैनेज करनी है। नॉर्मल इकोनॉमी जो है वो तो वैसे भी टैलेंट काफी अच्छे सिचुएशन में आ चुकी है। 3 इको राउंड हारने के बाद उनके पास मैक्स लॉस बोनस है अभी 2900 क्रेडिट्स का।
चलिए देखते हैं काम आता है कि नहीं। फिर से वंस अगेन ग्लोबल स्पोर्ट्स एक अलग पैतरा आजमाते हुए आप देखिए सी साइड की तरफ सारे के सारे खिलाड़ी होल्ड अप करेंगे जरूर, बट डेरियन इज स्टिल वेटिंग। और यहाँ पे अगर एक फ्रैग मिलता है आई थिंक बहुत ज्यादा महत्वपूर्ण हो सकता है उनके लिए। गवर्नर इंफॉर्मेशन देना नहीं चाहते, डेरियन मिस शॉट्स, नाउ ही इज गोना गेट पैम्पर्ड। बहुत ज्यादा बेहतरीन तरीके से डेरियन की पोजीशनिंग को टेक डाउन किया, और अब शायद गेट्स खुलेंगे। टैलेंट ग्लोबल स्पोर्ट्स को चारों दिशाओं से यहाँ पे घेरने की कोशिश की जाएगी जरूर, बट एज सून एज द डोर क्लोजेस ग्लोबल स्पोर्ट्स के लिए एक दूसरा जीवनदान हो सकता है।
स्मोक से बर्स्ट आउट करने के लिए फ्लैशेस नहीं है, और ये वाइस का फ्लैश जो है वो भी काफी आसानी से तोड़ा जा सकता है। प्रीमी तो स्मोक के अंदर ही बैठे हैं तो उनको कोई दिक्कत नहीं आएगी। एंड देखते ही देखते 2 फ्रैग्स टैलेंट के हाथ में। क्रॉसफायर भी अच्छे से एस्टैब्लिश कर दी गई है, यहाँ पे तोड़ने के लिए बहुत ही कम यूटिल मौजूद है। एंड हियर कम्स द शो स्टॉपर। भाग के जाना पड़ेगा क्रिस्टल को, एटलीस्ट जाते जाते उन्हें गवर्नर को मिड एयर मार गिराया है, लेकिन पापी एक बहुत ही डिफिकल्ट सिचुएशन में फंस चुके हैं। स्पाइक रिकवर करने के लिए उन्हें प्रीमी को मारना पड़ेगा, विच इज अ वेरी डिफिकल्ट बैटल टू विन, बट ही विंस इट एनीवे। ऑलराइट देन ओह एज अ डिस्ट्रैक्शन यूज किया उनने अपने अल्टीमेट को। 1 सेकंड के लिए उन्होंने अपनी नजर प्रीमी की तरफ लगाई और उसी सेकंड पे जेट बॉयज का पीक आया। इट्स जस्ट गुड साइकोलॉजिकल कंडीशनिंग।
1 सेकंड के लिए आई वाज गोना स्ट्रीम आउट की पापी है तो मुमकिन है, बट ऑनेस्टली जिस हिसाब से अभी टैलेंट खेल रही है फील्स लाइक वो मेंटल गेम पे बहुत ज्यादा आगे बढ़ चुके हैं। और अब बस एक राउंड टैलेंट